You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast with Sinan Schwarting and Kaan Bayazit.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru aksın kaybetti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Zuma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Black Eagles, welcome back to the Black Eagles podcast. A little bit of a technical difficulty there. I will cut that part out for the people watching on delay. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We have a bunch of new subscribers over the past week that have found our channel through, I think, the João Mario video, which has done extremely well for us. So please don't forget to drop a comment or a like if you are watching on delay or live. If you're in the live chat, of course, join in on the conversation. We got lots to talk about today. Beşiktaş signed João Mario officially from Benfica. Amartey and Oxlade-Chamberlain still blocking a potential move out. Aboubakar looks on his way to Hatay. Knock on wood for that one. Simi injured during the national team break, and then finally we will also be looking at the transfer roundup today. So drop all your thoughts in the comment section. If you are watching on delay, if you're watching live, please join us in the live chat. Then I also would like to extend a gratitude to our Patreon members who are supporting the podcast, who are making it possible for us to do more. So if you would like to support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/Beşiktaş podcast. You can become a free trial member on a 7-day trial. And if you would like to stay on, it's just $1.99 per month afterwards. Really appreciate it if you take a look. Even if you're just gonna take a look as a free member, see what there is to find there. There's lots of new content, extra content, I should say, for the VIP members. For example, like our Joao Mario video, our upcoming tomorrow, actually, our new show, The Rest, is already up on Patreon exclusively for now. It's been up actually since Thursday, so our VIP members are able to get early access to those videos and other videos that will come up on the channel in the future. Our VIP members will have a few days of early access to those videos, all that kind of stuff. And of course, our VIP audio podcast as well, which is a weekly podcast that we do, or I do rather, for mainly me, just rambling like I'm doing right now for the VIP members. So if you would like to support us and get some extra Black Eagles content, go to Patreon and select that. So guys, I'm gonna ask this question again. It's a little tedious, but Sinan, I'll start with you. The national team break, no Beşiktaş for over a week now. How does that make you feel? Are you a little fidgety like I am?
So sorry, live listeners, but I'm repeating myself here. First of all, actually here, I'll add a little new content just to keep it fresh. First of all, I'd like to say on the record that I started my coaching career again. I'm in charge of an all-girls team now, and my daughter is one of those girls. And so I am sore in places that I didn't know you could be sore on your body. A lot of training and just one thing anyway. But so I just wanted to put that on the record there as far as an update. Beyond that, yes, it's a funny feeling to be missing Beşiktaş after just a few days, right? Last season, I think we went into a lot of international breaks, feeling like we needed a little break. This was probably necessary for us to not be dwelling in misery all the time. Whereas I think this season that's not the case at all. I genuinely, I'm like fiending, as if I'm addicted to something I shouldn't be addicted to, rather than just football. But yeah, I really like. I'm not pleased that we don't have Beşiktaş this week. I'm fiending for Rafa.
Definitely. What about you, Kartal? Are you a little strung up on not having a Beşiktaş game this week?
it's boring, man, because that's what we look forward to all week, and when it's there. Like, to be honest, like, it's cool when the national team's in a tournament. You get amped up for that. It's good fun. To be honest, the last international tournament, the excitement came during the tournament rather than even before it. But see these regular international breaks, I don't care at all. I just wanted to watch this, like, and that's how I feel just now. Like, I can't wait for our next game next week against Trabzon.
And I guess it's worth noting too, right? Like, there's nobody on. Like, if Semi were playing, for example, right, we'd probably be tuning in with a little more excitement, or any other player for that matter, on the besides Mert, I guess, right? Who's gonna like watch a game to see a keeper though? It's not, on that side too. The national team is in kind of a boring phase. Plus, they're terrible. I mean, if we're gonna do a little commentary on this last match against Wales, they were horrible. Can we all agree on that?
I don't even watch it, man.
Good for you.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I find it hard to watch the national team, especially when there's I don't want to talk about it even. Honestly, let's move on. I don't want to talk about the national team. So
I mean, I couldn't give great analysis because I had it on in the background anyway. I only saw enough of it to see that we were being dominated statistically whenever they like flashed numbers up on the screen. So
yeah, let's not talk about it, Sinan.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about that shit, man. Like, the national team just brings me down.
I guess shout out to Mert. He got a clean sheet despite that. So,
yeah,
Beşiktaş content.
Let's talk about Beşiktaş because I couldn't care less about the national team at the moment. Yeah, Beşiktaş. Only Beşiktaş. This is a Beşiktaş podcast, except for when you're watching the rest, then it's also a podcast about all the other people, teams in the league, through a Beşiktaş lens, I should say. So don't expect us to be neutral. So the big news, of course, and we already talked about it last week, but that's Joao Mario joining Beşiktaş from Benfica on a loan deal initially, and that's structured that way. Obviously, Kartal already explained it before, but because of financial fair play, and like these types of deals happen all the time. It's a loan with an obligation to buy for 2 million euros. So the first season now we won't have to pay anything. Great video that we have up. I mean, kind of touting my own horn here, but definitely go and check out my interview with Rabona TV's Adrian Souza on Joao Mario. He's a Benfica fan, and he had some great insights on Joao Mario. Definitely put my mind at ease because I wasn't quite certain about this transfer going into it, because in my mind, Joao Mario was more a central midfielder. Because I mean, he's played all over the place. And, coming out of that conversation with Adrian, I'm not going to spoil too much, but definitely go and watch that. Kartal, I know you were somebody who had serious reservations about this transfer as well. How did you come out of that interview with Adrian feeling about this move?
I mean, I don't know if people saw my tweet on Twitter. You can't even call it a tweet anymore. A post on X.
I think they're calling it Twitter again. Aren't they? I think they're slowly transitioning back to that.
I mean, if they are, that's brilliant, because X is a shite name. But yeah, I wrote a tweet just saying, in Turkish, saying that everyone should watch that video, if they obviously understand English, because it was very, very, very informative about Joao Mario and the type of player he is and where he's best suited. And much like Kaan, most of my doubts, I say most, not all, but most of my reservations and doubts were put to ease by Adrian's explanation and analysis of Joao Mario. I mean, the best season in his career, we found out from that video, he was playing on the right wing, and he got a phenomenal amount of goals and assists in that season. And then the only reason he was actually moved from right mid like last year was because they had to make space for Di Maria. So that makes a lot of sense. I do still have like some reservations about the transfer as a whole. I think the team's gotten too old. I think we've got too many old players in the team. Like 7 of the top 11 are over 30 years of age, which I don't think is ideal. I think like 3 or 4 should be like the maximum. But I mean, it's not the end of the world either. But I just think it's not ideal, because I think within a year or two, you're probably going to have to be changing a lot of that team again, which isn't great. We've had a lot of overhaul this summer. But maybe next year or the year after that, we might have to do that again, which is a shame. I mean, maybe not. It just depends how long these guys keep going at this high level they're going at just now. But that's I still have a doubt. He's just another older player that's already an old team, so I'm not too happy about that. But in terms of what his best position is and finding it out through that video and how he's actually in that position, he was not just a creative force but a great goal scorer as well. Really put my mind at ease big time, and I think he would definitely add to our game. Would I have preferred Angelo? Yes, I would have. I think Kaan, you really wanted Angelo as well. But João Mario, I think in terms of what he's going to add to the team in terms of the football and quality, he's definitely going to make us a better team, and I'm excited to see him play. And that's the only kind of part of that makes me feel okay about this international break, is because it gives João Mario time to get settled in and really gives him that. He came in, what was it, Tuesday,
Something
right?
like that, yeah. I think so.
Yeah. So that's given him almost a full 2 weeks to get settled in and get ready to go, which is brilliant. So that's positive about the international break. But yeah, no, I think overall, from what I've read, what I've seen, especially by what I listened to in your video, overall I think it's a good signing. Although I still do have my doubts in terms of just the overall age of the team.
Okay.
Can I
what
respond to
about
that?
you?
Yeah, I want to respond to a couple of points there. One, the number 7. So you said that we have 7 guys. I guess you have to at least take note that we already have the next generation for a lot. We already have Mucci to come in for Rafa, so that's theoretically 6, right? That's a guy we don't have to replace. Although Rafa's going to be around for a while. Rafa's probably going to be around for a while.
Yeah,
but
then Rafa
but then on top of that, right, you've got
profile.
Mustafa, Semi, right? We have a lot of young guys who can step up into some of those roles. So that's just less guys that would be needing to be replaced. And on top of that, in the 2 or 3 years that they are going to be with us, there could be other guys coming up through the academy. So which is just to say that that's not necessarily all guys we have to replace on the market and spend money for. And second of all, I think that Angelo would represent very much the same thing as far as having to do something again next year, right? Because given his price tag, the 19 or 23, whatever it's big, I think they kind of reported it a little lower than they probably paid, because I think it was reported as 23 first, and then they claimed they paid 19. Al Nasser, I mean. But so in that sense, we weren't going to be able to trigger that opt-in next season anyway, and so that would have been just a temporary. In fact, probably more temporary, relative to João Mario, anyway. So.
Yeah, no, sorry, Sinan, I just felt the need to interject. I think it was 23 million euros, but 19 million pounds.
Oh, okay, maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably
another thing as well. It's about the age thing. See, when you've got a lot of older people in your team, is the team going to be able to stay on its feet the full season?
Yeah, well, that's.
Whereas if a more energetic youth, that's less of a problem. But that's a great point. Angelo was most likely going to be a short-term solution for us as well. Given the transfer fee he's went to Al Nassr for, it was highly unrealistic that we'd sign him on a permanent. So that's a great point, Sinan. But also, I think the age factor is important, and the mileage the team can have throughout the season. For example, Dzeko for Fenerbahce last year.
but he's 38, Kartal. He's almost 39. That is not the same as a 31-year-old player. Nowhere near. It's almost a decade difference.
Got a lot of these older players. That's the thing. We've got a lot of these players over 30.
Yeah, but
there's a big difference
they're
between
30 or
31 and 34. Chiro and Paulista are the only ones who are older. Those are the only ones that are mid-30s. Everyone else is early 30s.
And they're young enough. They're low enough into their 30s that you can easily imagine 2 or 3 years with this core if they stick and everyone's playing well and they're happy and we can afford. There's other factors, of course. Or if someone doesn't come in with a huge fee to buy one of them. But there's scenarios where they could leave, but you can easily imagine them being our core for 2 or 3 seasons, which means that we have those 2 or 3 seasons to draft in younger guys who could theoretically come in and replace them over time. And so it's not like we're going to have to go right back to kind of square one at all, I would say.
Yeah, under Şenol Güneş, when that kind of happened, like a lot of those good guys that we had were really well into their 30s. Like Quaresma was 35, 36. Adriano was like the same age. Pepe was the same age. Negredo was around 33, 34. Gökhan Gönül was 35 or something like that. Like, our 30-year-olds in like 2017 were well into their 30s. It's not like Rafa right now who is in prime physical condition.
Yeah.
Like I think if you look at our foreigners at the moment, like if you look at Joao Mario, for example, over the last 3 seasons, he has played like 134 games or something. Like he's been extremely consistent. Look, that can always go wrong. I look at Fred at Fenerbahce, like he suddenly never had injuries in his career almost, and now suddenly started getting loads of injuries. So I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying I think you're maybe a little bit too anxious about it, if that's the right word.
I'm saying we're definitely burnt. We're going to crash and burn because the team's too old. I'm saying like the more older players you have, like the higher the risk of that happening is. I'm not saying it's a definite. I really hope.
But the same thing can be said if you have a lot of young players. Then you run into the danger of going deep into the season and they are not experienced enough to handle the pressure.
Like the pressure.
That's the same argument.
It's important to find the right balance, and I think that the scales are kind of tipping on the other side for us just now. Though,
sure.
To compare us to other major teams.
Kartal, another rebuttal, if I can. I think you also have to factor in where we are, with sports medicine and all of that. Like 31 today is like 28 5 years ago. You know what I mean? And it's like 26 10 years ago, because guys would be retiring at the time they hit 30 for the most part, not even that long ago. And you're seeing careers be elongated. You're seeing guys who are much more conscious of how to stay fit and how to prolong their careers. People with more desire to do so. There's less pressure to make a ton of money before you hit 30 now that you can play to your 35, right? Like there are so many factors that go into why players are, I think, benefiting from longer careers and wanting to play longer. But I think the biggest factor is that sports medicine and science has caught up to a point where we can do that. So for me, I would agree with you 100%, Kartal, if they were even like 33, you know what I'm saying? But like 31, you can easily imagine them having like, and especially like given what we're seeing with our own eyes too, like they're playing at a level now where it's hard to imagine them falling off in the next. I'm not
3 years. It's going to happen. Just saying that there's a higher chance of it happening. Whether if we had a more kind of like if there was like maybe 4 players over 30, there'd be a lesser chance of that happening. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I really hope it doesn't.
Sure.
But I'd say I'm a wee bit worried about it. Like I wouldn't say I'm overly worried about it. Just a wee bit worried about it. I think it's a fairly normal concern to have. Like I don't think I'm being
unreasonable.
Yeah. But I think I think it's a very fair concern to have, but as well you needed to put everything into a proper context. So like, last season Fenerbahce, Dzeko kind of slowed down in the second half of the season. It's still a team that got 99 points. Look, I think if you get 99 points, like they had a couple of really important players who were like well into their 30s, like Tadic is 35, 36. Dzeko is going on 39 now. Same thing last season. Tadic was 35. Dzeko was 38. For us, it's Rafa is 31. Ciro is 34. Yeah, okay. I think Ciro, with his style of play, if he learns how to dose his energy a little bit better, maybe work a little less hard, he can definitely still keep scoring goals as long as Dzeko is scoring goals. Of course, with the intensity that he plays at now, I do to an extent definitely share your concern. Like, he is one of the players that I'm worried will slow down during the season, or will maybe pick up an injury or something like that. But that's more a squad depth issue, because then we have to talk about whether is Mustafa Hekimoğlu and Simi enough to, you know, fill that void for a while. Let's say we miss Chiro for 3-4, like Galatasaray now, for example. You know, Icardi's out for 6 weeks. Can we sustain the team in a 6-week period if Chiro gets injured, for example? And of course, like,
would be yes. If Semi showed that he can put this team on his back for like 3 months last year. Yeah, so he could.
Yeah, I agree. He showed that, and then he also showed that he faded away after.
So but I mean, that's true. That could be true for any player. I mean, except for maybe like, you know, Haaland or whatever, right? Like, players are always going to have peaks and valleys. But I'm inclined to agree with Kartal on this. That I think, and especially because we have the two of them, you know. So like, if one of them hits a valley, you know, somebody, you know, you could go for the other guy. You can kind of vary the two of them. I think it's kind of a perfect scenario to have the two promising young strikers, because if one of them is such a hit that we end up needing to sell them because we get, you know, one of those offers you can't refuse, then you have the other one. But so in a sense, in my mind, that kind of spells some of the concerns that I would have along the lines of what Kartal was saying about having all these guys who are over 30, because it's like Chiro is the one who's the oldest. And he's the one who we already have not one, but two young talents that could theoretically come up and emerge in these, you know, maybe 2 years or whatever, 2 or 3 years of Chiro we get. And then so that for me is like a perfect scenario. And then, you know, let me put it this way, Kartal, just to sort of hopefully make you feel better about your concern. But let's say we replace Masuaku in the next window, whether that's January or next summer, right? So that's 1 30-year-old out. Like I said, we've already got the kind of next generation striker in place, theoretically. So now that 7 is down to 5, you know what I'm saying? Who else is over 30?
Paulista, Masuaku.
Yeah, so Paulista, right? Let's say, clearly we're going to need another central defender at some point, even just for depth, right? Because like right now it's Tayyip Talha as the second central defender. So that could be a January or next summer move. But so let's say next summer we get a new left back and a new central defender. For now, a backup for Paulista, but maybe one with the potential to step into a starting role. We haven't found a good academy central defender in a long time. Alpay Çelebi was the last I can recall, but that didn't pan out obviously because of the injury.
The double ACL injury, I think.
But so, right there, that's 3, Kartal, right? If we can get a new left back and a central defender in the next window or 2, plus the striker we've already discussed, that's 3 out of the 7 that's resolved. So now you're down to 4 guys. And again, we have probably a 2 or 3 year window with this core of 31, 30, whatever year olds in place. So now, you're only dealing with long term, looking for 4 guys to bring in. You know what I'm saying? Like you can stagger that out in a way that it's not even that overwhelming for the board to have to go back to the drawing board at some point. But what's nice is that we have such a good, talented core now that you can kind of sit back and, obviously you have to hope for no injuries, but, I feel like in a way we can kind of guarantee a good at least 2 years to slowly bring in replacements for any of these guys.
Yeah. Kartal, do you want to respond?
Yeah, rebut? Do you have a rebuttal?
I think there's been a lot of fair points made. I'm not overly concerned. I'm not stressing. I think we are going to win the league this year. Knock on wood, if there's no injuries. If there's no injuries and no over the top shenanigans, I think we're going to win the league this year. So I'm not overly concerned. You know, it's just a wee bit of a concern in the back of my mind. It's nothing huge. I think Sinan made some good points as well. Like, I'm not very, very worried. I just think it's not the best balance, but it's workable. You can work with it, and we're just lucky that the players we have are very, very good. Like, we've signed very, very good players.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, I agree.
If we'd signed like a decent 31-year-old, but now we've got a 31-year-old Rafa Silva who's at his prime, and he's like, arguably we're already saying that he might be like one of the best players we've ever seen play for Beşiktaş. Like, which is, we're just lucky we've got, like, the players we have signed are so good, and because of that, a lot of us are quite confident about having a successful year. But I'd just say that the balance isn't perfect.
No,
there's just.
Is the balance perfect at Manchester United, Kartal? Is the balance perfect at Liverpool? Is the balance perfect at Barcelona? I mean, I think Real Madrid are probably one of the few teams in the world who have that balance right.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe they have too much though, right? Like, they have guys who need to be playing more, probably. I think that's absolutely correct, and maybe more importantly, Kaan, to reiterate your point, I guess, our rivals, I would say, at this point lack, and the window's not done yet. Let's not. What's the expression?
Just filled their left back position, so their squad is looking good, I think.
What's the expression? Don't count your chickens before they hatch, right? I think that's the expression. Because, right, like, who knows what they'll pull off in this last week. But at the moment, they lack more balance, you could say. And maybe
do, at least.
Certainly. Yeah. Fener is another question.
I think, to be honest, not for Galatasaray, but in Fenerbahce's credit, I think Fenerbahce have been very good in finding that balance between youth and experience. I think they've actually been very good in that regard.
Yeah, I agree. They have I think they have, in that regard, a good transfer politics. I just have big question marks with their big signings this summer.
Saint-Maximin especially, right? Yeah.
No, it's just, I think with the money that they've spent, they could have gotten winners. I don't think En-Nesyri is a winner. I don't think Saint-Maximin is a winner. I don't necessarily think Sofian Amrabat is a winner. Kostic, these are not. I don't think these are guys that are going to lift you to the next level. And they were at a very high level last season. I felt going into this season, Fener, if they can get 2 or 3 good signs, if they can get a Rafa Silva, who's gonna stop them?
Yeah.
But they didn't sign a guy like that. They signed. I don't know. They have still a really, really good team. They have a really, really good manager. So they are the favorites this season.
Yeah.
But I agree with Kartal that I think we have a great shot because we have the team chemistry. We have a good coach, and we play good football, and we play a good type of football that can be really successful in our league for sure. But I kind of feel like we got my script on its head a little bit now because we're already doing almost a full transfer review, and I want to kind of save that for later. But one more thing I would like to say is, with the whole thing you said about it should be 3 or 4 players 30 plus. I don't think that's a realistic aim in Turkey right now, especially not competing with Galatasaray and Fenerbahce, because if you want to compete with those 2 teams, you need players of a certain level. And I think you can't get a 27-year-old Rafa Silva, a 27-year-old Ciro Immobile, a 27-year-old Gabriel Paulista. Like, that is just the cold, hard truth. You need to get these guys when they're in their 30s, because you can't get them in their 20s. That is just not affordable. That is not feasible for Beşiktaş. It is just a cold hard truth, and I don't think we can compete with players in their mid-20s that aren't at that level, because we need Ciro Immobile, we need Rafa Silva, we need Gabriel Paulista, we need those guys to lift that team up from the hole it was in last season, but to 50 points behind, to now competing with those 2 juggernauts in our league. We had to make these moves, and I agree with you. 7 is a lot, but like Sinan also says, I think gradually next summer, hopefully, maybe we can bring in younger fullbacks for Masuaku and Svensson. It's already 2. And look, I'm not against keeping Svensson. I think you still keep Svensson. And maybe, I don't know about Masuaku. We'll have to wait and see how this season goes. But you can already start like planning the future for them. And like a guy like Rafa, you build around for a couple of years. I think 31 is fine. He'll still be 31 the entire season because his birthday is in like May or something. So you can build around him for 2 to 3 years easily. Hell, if he doesn't decline physically too much in the next couple of years, you can build around him for 4 or 5 years. It all depends on how things goes, of course. Chiro, realistically, you probably can get 2 really good years out of him, and hopefully a third, and then maybe in that third year he'd be like willing to, if you have been successful, he had great times in those 2 years, maybe he'll be more receptive to becoming a second option. I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying though, Sinan, with we have Sime, we have Mustafa. One of my biggest holes in the team for me is that we don't have a battering ram off the bench. I think that's something you kind of want. Like, for example, like Fener now have Enesiri, who's kind of like that battering ram off the bench, a 20 million battering ram at that, but
a little pricey.
Like,
I agree with you there. Certainly, no. We could do for having more of a sure thing, no doubt. But like, just also given our whole foreigner situation, like, in some dream scenario, if we could have like kept Abou for as our third striker or whatever.
No. Weghorst is the.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Profile.
Yeah. That's a better.
Not the
better
ideal personality, because I think he would not like sitting on the bench, and he would create all sorts of problems. But in terms of profile of the type of player he is, I think that's the perfect guy for on your bench. It's not realistic, but in Football Manager, which is free right now on Elite Games, I think. So go and get that Football Manager 2024. That is a free plug. That is not a commercial or anything, but you can get that game for free right now on EliteGames.com. So go and check that out. Once you add it to your basket and buy it for €0, it belongs to you forever. So, go ahead
and get
that game. Yeah, for sure.
So to be that guy, Kaan. It's not Elite Games, it's Epic.
Epic Games, sorry.
Yeah.
They didn't pay us or anything, Kartal, so I don't give a salt that I missed that one. But let's talk about João Mario now, guys, because we already talked a lot about other transfers now.
One thing I want to respond to your striker thing about is, given the lack of foreign slots and the fact that we would need a Turkish striker, I agree. I'd love for more of a sure thing, but that's a big problem, not just for us as a club, but for the nation of Turkey as a whole, right? Like, there aren't a lot of, short of, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. The dude who plays for, Getafe now or whatever, who plays for the national side whenever he's healthy.
But he went to Saga.
What's the striker's name? Why am I?
You're talking about
Enes Ünal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. No. That's not a battering ram.
No, that's what I mean. Like, we don't really have. Serdar Dursun. I can't really think of a Turk.
Well, that's kind of that type of player that you kind of could throw in, but like, I wouldn't take him. But like, look, I think that you bring in Mustafa Hekimoğlu, you bring in 17-year-old striker when you're winning 2-0. That's fine. He can get 20 minutes, he can get 30 minutes, he can get that experience. I don't think you want to put that pressure on a 17-year-old kid's shoulders when it's the 70th minute, Chiro ran out of energy and it's still 0-0, or you're, God forbid, a goal behind. I don't think that's a good scenario to put a 17-year-old in necessarily. I'm not saying he can't do it.
That could be more of a semi-scenario, right?
Yeah, but Simi isn't the type of striker you put in when you're a goal down in the 80th or 70th minute, and maybe you have to resort to pumping balls into the box. Now, we haven't really been in
that scenario.
Yeah,
right?
we haven't really been in that scenario yet so far this season. Gio doesn't really play pump the ball into the box type of football. But we haven't seen the scenario yet. So we'll have to wait and see. At some point this season it's going to happen. God forbid it happens on Sunday against Trabzon. that we find ourselves behind in like the 70th or the 80th minute and we need to find a goal. And what do you do then? Like, that is something we have yet to see this season. And I don't know about whether Mustafa at 17 is the right player in that scenario. Will he be able to keep his cool? Will he make the right choices? Yeah, that's a big if. Look, if Gio says this is enough for me, I trust this kid, then we have to have faith in it as well. But of course, like from the outside looking in, I don't think that is. I think that is one of the big points in our squad right now, other than the back position, which doesn't have good alternatives. I think that is our biggest hole in the squad right now. Other than that, I think our squad can match up to any team in the league easily. I think Fener don't have better depth at the back. Maybe Becao. They have good central defenders, rotation, but like in midfield, I think our rotation is the best at the moment.
It's in the league, yeah.
And they just dumped a number of guys at the end of the deadline too. So I think, who's their backup left back? I think that's where they want. That's where they want Yasin Özcan, right? That's why they're.
No, they have Levent Mercan. They just signed him from Karagümrük for 2 million at the beginning of the window. So they are bringing in Kostic now from Juventus.
Is that happening?
That's happening. All right, let's talk about João Mario, Sinan, because we already heard Kartal's thoughts, but then we kind of went off on a tangent. But your thoughts on this transfer? Did you happen to catch the interview with Adrian, and did that sway you one way or the other?
Yeah, first of all, I'm getting a little jealous of all these North Americans you're chatting with, Kaan. I don't know. I thought I was the only one. I'm just kidding.
He's Canadian.
No, they both seem really nice too. Like I wish I knew some more football fans around these parts to chat with locally. Honestly, it's good to know they're out there. No, I thought the interview was great, and it actually, I didn't want to, my whole policy about like not putting takes onto the record unnecessarily, before we knew Joao Mario was coming, I didn't want to come out as a big stan, and I didn't want to fight with people. I always try to save that for when it's necessary, and I think now we're there. I always saw his ability on the ball as, I didn't know actually that his best season was as a right winger. That's a huge plus, but I did know, and it's probably worth noting. I should probably mention I lived in Lisbon for a while, and Benfica would be like my Lisbon team in theory. I mean, you know how I am. I only really watch Beşiktaş, but I have tuned in occasionally to Benfica because I have access to them on ESPN Plus. But João Mario has always been a guy who has such ability on the ball and such craftiness technically that it was hard for me to imagine him not being able to very passably play as a winger for us, given the quality of the Turkish league relatively and all that. I always saw João Mario as someone who would be able to come in and be an effective winger. He really is crafty. I think that's the word that I would have best described him as. And I think, Adrian did a good job of basically saying that with more numbers and stats to back it up. But I'm excited about João Mario, and I think he could actually end up being a very key component of this core that we're building. And it's obviously like just to see he and Rafa Silva being best buds already, and Jedson, like there's already like a camaraderie that's so far, like leagues ahead of where we were again, like 3 months ago. That it's just impressive. I think the squad building has been great. And again, so Kartal to the over 30-year-old contingent there. In a way, I think it was almost necessary that we kind of intentionally bring in this core of guys who are about the same age, who have the same level of professionalism, the same desire to, continue making a name for themselves and kind of expand their brand, so to speak. Because like all of them are guys who I think people in Portugal have been well aware of for years, and now is their chance to kind of, make their name, spread it far and wide, And I there seems to be a common purpose that these guys have, having come together, having played together already. That I'm impressed. I don't know if that's Gio Brad Friedel, the combination of a bunch of those guys. But I feel like they've done a really good job of very consciously bringing in good character guys who are already cohesive on the pitch.
Yeah, Brad Friedel actually talked about it in a recent interview from last month with the transfer room, I believe.
Transfer room, yeah, transfer room.
He talked about that you can bring in good football players, but you have to get the right characters, you have to get the right personalities as well, and that is something they really tried to focus on during this window, to get in the right personalities. And I do get the sense that we're seeing that on the pitch, off the pitch. And that's also something I think we see didn't happen under the previous board. Yeah. And we're going to talk about this momentarily, about this whole stalemate or this Amartey, Oxlade, Aboubakar gate, as the phrase was coined by Kartal. But before we do that, I mean, we can mention, of course, Rafa Silva's impact in Joao Mario's transfer. Apparently, he even said this in his interview, in his first official interview. Since Rafa joined Beşiktaş, he has watched every game, and the decision to come to Beşiktaş was made in a matter of minutes. He was going through a little bit of a tough time at Benfica. Adrian touched on this, but Benfica fans kind of scapegoating him. He was there's the favorite of Roger Schmidt, the previous coach, who just got sacked. He was constantly getting played out of his ideal position, but in every position that you could imagine: defensive midfielder, central midfielder, behind the striker, and then of course on the wings. And a lot of Benfica fans were disgruntled. Of course, the last season didn't go well for Benfica. They did finish second with 82 points, but they were 13 points or something, or 12 points behind the champions. This season, they started off really poorly this season. And João Mario was just one of those guys that, was getting the brunt of it from the fans, even though he performed, well over the last 3 or so years for them. And I think for him, a change of scenery was needed. And obviously, he liked what he saw when he was watching the games from Beşiktaş. He talked to Rafa. Rafa was instrumental in bringing him to the club. And I think that's only going to add further to the camaraderie that is already there. A whole decade ago, we had a Portuguese contingent. And back then, I think it was labeled as a little bit toxic. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't get that impression at all right now. I think our Portuguese contingent is only going to add further to the success of the club. And hopefully João Mario works out. And we'll probably get to see him in action really soon, because with Semi's injury, it does look likely that João Mario will start in his first game against Trabzon, against our former coach, Şenol Güneş, because he, of course, appointed as the new main coach of Trabzonspor following Abdullah Avci's dismissal. So that's going to be an interesting game, and our first real big test in the league on match day number 4 on Sunday, I think, again away at Trabzon. So a very important game for us that we need to get through and win. Anything you guys want to add on João Mario? Because I have a lot of other stuff we need to talk about.
No, I'm all good, man. We'll probably be able to analyse it once we see him playing a Beşiktaş shirt. So for just now, I think we've kind of commented on what we can. His best season, I think we've maybe not went into the numbers.
We didn't know, I mean, Adrian obviously did, I think, but his best season was just 2 seasons ago. So not the last season, but the season before. I think he had 23 goals and 15 assists or something. Worth noting that he was the penalty taker that season. I kind of wondered though, that downfall for Benfica kind of coincided with Di Maria's arrival, with João Mario getting moved to a different position. I didn't ask this to Adrian, but obviously, they're very fond of Di Maria. Obviously, he had a great season last season for them. And even a podcast I was listening to, a Benfica podcast, I think their handle is actually Benfica Podcast, which is run by some guys from the States, actually, Benfica fans. I was listening to that a while ago to just wanted to hear their thoughts on both Rafa and Di Maria. And interestingly enough, they said if it was just for a season, they'd keep Di Maria over Rafa. If it was for multiple seasons, they'd keep Rafa over Di Maria. So I thought that was pretty interesting because, the last time they won a title, obviously Di Maria wasn't there. João Mario was playing on the right. Rafa was behind the striker. So, yeah, I don't know. But I'm very happy with Rafa and Di Maria. Hopefully they can rekindle that magic they had together 2 seasons ago. And I think I have a good feeling about this. The only thing for me was, like Kartal said, I was really keen on Angelo. And the reason for that is because, I agree with what Kartal's been saying for a couple of months now, that we needed a more creative player on that wing. Mm. But I also think, and from what I've seen from our game so far this season... Oh, and we have a new subscriber. Welcome to the podcast. Who was it?
Ergendwis MIT Games. Subscribe to the channel.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us and being a subscriber. Anyway, what I've seen from our play so far this season, I kind of feel like we didn't just need a Rachid Ghazal. We needed a Rachid Ghazal with pace. And I thought Angelo fit that mold perfectly. He was very tricky, one of the best dribblers in Brazil, fast, not lightning quick like Rafa maybe, but still really fast, and creative. I think that was the perfect fit in my opinion. And I think with João Mario you get more Ghazal, if that makes sense. Like a little bit more that Ghazal type. Not super explosive, not super fast, a great passer of the ball, good shooter, maybe better than Ghazal actually, because Ghazal never really scored a lot in his career. I think Angelo would have been a better fit, but we talked about it.
One final point actually I thought of, and it's kind of about what you said, Kaan. He's coming off of... We're now actually just over 1 year removed from his best season as a football player. And in the context of the fact that season came with him as a right winger, and we're basically restoring him to that position where he had the best season of his career, which, great, because it's just the beginning of this season and that season, or the end of that season, right? It's literally just barely a year removed from that. So I don't know. I'm having maybe... I'm the serial optimist in the group, perhaps, but I except for the fact that I'm the one who thought we were going to do the worst when we did the previous season. I got a lot of trouble for that.
You got flamed for it.
I know the one time I tried to be realistic. No, but
I'm trying
really,
to stay grounded.
Because this is my normal mode of Beşiktaş fandom is to be pretty optimistic, and I have a good feeling about João Mario.
Why not? If you went into this season thinking it's gonna be like last season again, then
come on, that's the
gray hairs that I would have been completely gray then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
but a lot of new names in the comments, by the way.
Yeah, I love it. Keep them coming, guys. And should we do a little comment run before we move on to the next topic, Kaan?
Sure. Let's do that.
All right. So back to the top. Good. So we had technical issues, but after that. Yasin said, I couldn't stomach watching a right wing back as a striker, even if I cared about the national team. And that's funny because that's sort of a shout out. Kaan and Yasin did a little segment on how Barış Alper Yılmaz should be a wing back rather than even a winger, much less a striker. Mario, yo, what's going on? My fellow Knicks fan out there, getting ready for the Knicks season, I hope. Freshly baked videos, new chatter. Is that a thing? What's the word I'm looking for here? New listener, commentator. No, we're the commentators. Anyway, he said, "Nice to see international podcast for Beşiktaş. What is the aim of the channel?" And I think we find ourselves like repeating this a number of times, because like a lot of new listeners are coming in and asking us, and we don't want to discourage that. So if I can be brief about it, basically our goal is to get, to give access to the club, to Beşiktaş fans who might not speak Turkish, such as myself. I'm the only one in this group. But then, to give access to the club to the international audience at large, right? We have, we're going to be playing in Europe, hopefully regularly, and going deep in. And so a lot of people from around the football community will want to know about the club. So we're going to provide that kind of, people who want to spy. But then also, just even for like a lot of our listeners are actually Turkish in Turkey. And I think we offer not just unique insight, but hey, even a chance to practice your English, to upgrade your listening skills, and even your writing skills. If you comment, if you want, I can edit those. No, I won't. Although I kind of always do when I'm reading them back. So listen carefully to how I fix your comments, folks, if you want to know how to speak better English.
And actually,
free English lesson.
To pick in on that, Sinan, I actually have been noticing this with the Patreon, because for the first time I've started like seeing some people's names, and there's some names out there that I'm like, wow, that's
not a Turk at all. Yeah.
Either his mom is Turkish and he has both an Irish and a first and surname or something like no, but I think the majority of the people that watch this are like 90% are people with Turkish roots, and like a lot of them even live in Turkey, and like Sinan said, maybe they're watching to improve their English, or maybe they just like to listen to Kartal's sexy Scottish accent. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good draw for sure.
I mean, listening to Kartal speak is a fantastic way to learn English, I think, because you're not just forced to listen. You're like, you really have to pay attention, right, Kartal?
I don't even.
It was like that for us. Like when we first met Kartal, which is like, I don't know how long we've known each other now, Kartal, but that must be close to 10 years. And in the beginning, when we knew each other, like I couldn't understand a word you were saying, but now I understand you almost perfectly. So it's just something that requires some time to get used to. But just to circle back, I think we have a lot of international following for the club, and obviously the podcast is still very small at the moment. But we are gaining some new subscribers every week.
And here's a little context. This is a perfect. So here in the United States, people are falling in love with the sport left and right every day, more and more. And that's true of like China and India and Japan and a number of countries around the world. And so, for example, my daughter's friend just fell in love with the sport this summer, which I didn't know about, which is cool. But so he's already got a Real Madrid jersey. Right. Of course, we're still going to be that's always going to be the default, but like already a number of his friends in school have been like, oh, if you're really going to be a football fan, or, they'll say soccer, but if you're really a football fan, you've got to like be a little more creative picking a team, and so it's funny because like on the one hand, it's like you shouldn't support kids trolling other kids, but I fully agree with those kids. So I hope you take that advice. But and so, for example, I'll make my pitch. I've bought a number of Beşiktaş jerseys for a number of kids. One of my daughter's friends wore his Beşiktaş kit to school on the first day, which was like exhilarating for me to see. And they did like a culture day where they were supposed to wear like clothing for their culture, and for some reason he wore his Beşiktaş kit. Like he misunderstood the assignment. He was just excited. So like I'm doing it, but again, the only way you could ever theoretically build a fan base outside of Turkey is by having things like this. And in a sense, you hope that more will arise. Not necessarily that I want competition, but just in general, like you hope that Beşiktaş has so many fans. There's such a demand for Beşiktaş content in other languages that it gets produced.
It needs to be accessible, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
One of the biggest issues I see with Turkish clubs, because they have a lot of untapped potential. Obviously, there's the corruption in the country and all that, but I think one of the things is accessibility to people outside of Turkey. Like the amount of times over the years, when I started Beşiktaş International in 2013, the amount of times I got messages from foreigners who had nothing to do with Turkey necessarily, but they wanted to go and watch a game, or even journalists reaching out to me like, how can we get in contact with the club? Like, the accessibility is almost non-existent. It's very difficult to find information.
Yeah.
And that's, also part of the reason why we're here, just to help people who don't know where to find that information to hopefully help them along and find it.
And I need to address this real quickly. Baba Fingao. I am not. It wasn't my kid trolling the Real Madrid fan. I heard other kids doing it. So it's not like, in a sense, it's not my job to parent them. I don't want to, I don't want to like scold somebody else's kid. So but my point is simply that rather than feeling fully like, oh, these kids shouldn't, there was a part of me that was kind of like, yeah, that's a valid criticism. You should be a little more creative than Real Madrid in 2024. But anyway, that's sorry,
Kartal.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that I quite liken Sinan to a Catholic missionary.
Yeah.
He's spreading the good word that is the gospel of the.
He's going around houses, knocking on doors, like, may I tell you the great story of the Black Eagles of Istanbul?
Do you need a kid's shirt? Adult?
The Masters of the Bosporus.
I think it's brilliant, man. Like, I remember, I think it might have been 2 seasons ago, Sinan sent in a photo of his daughter's friend wearing a Beşiktaş shirt, and I'm like, man, that's so cool.
I missed that picture. Like, you guys were talking about that the other day.
That's the hair, man, and he's wearing a Beşiktaş shirt, man. I thought that was just very cool. I thought, and I think Sinan's doing a great job spreading the good word, the gospel that is Beşiktaş and the great city of New York.
Yeah. On and off the internet, Sinan is active on both fronts, both the real and the virtual world.
Proselytizing the masses, if I can, what can you do? No, it's been a lot of fun for me, actually. And I was just joking, but that kid, that's the kid who wore, because I got him a second season jersey, and he wore it on the first day of school this year. And so I was joking in our group chat, but his kid's gonna be 25, getting tortured by Beşiktaş as a serious fan, wondering who the hell put me onto this freaking club.
This to me?
I mean, I hope I'm still in touch with him, and that, he's like a family friend now.
I mean, that's the worst part is that the shirts have doubled in price now, Sinan. So it's gonna become
harder and harder.
Expensive endeavor.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
keep going with those questions or those comments.
Yeah, let's keep rolling with it. So exactly, I agree. 30 to 31. So this is M Sarp, a new contributor. 30 to 31 is accepted prime now. I remember it was 26, 27, 15 years ago. Shout out to the old heads who've been around the block, such as Kaan.
I mean, I remember. I think Zago was 34, and he was like ancient. And now Chiro, I mean, I wouldn't give him 34. He still looks like. He still looks like a beast to me. Paulista, I don't know. He looks a little older to me, physically, if that makes sense. He kind of has his little hunch and stuff, but like, looks amazing.
But it's actually worth noting how good Gabriel Paulista has been too. Like, we probably don't talk about it enough. He's been so solid. Yeah. We'll dig into that later. Anyway, comment. Austin, the biggest problem with getting a 30-plus-year-old is the lack of resale value. No doubt about that. But luckily, we do have a lot of younger guys, in theory, who we could make money from, too, with, from Al Musrati, who's on the older side, down to obviously all the kids who is already talking about. But then, obviously, Mucci. And, I mean, we have some dudes with obvious resale value. Even maybe Onana, it's nice to see him entering the rotation again. Hopefully, we can kind of boost that up. So, there's something there. Anyway, keep it moving. Very nice stream. Thank you, Denver Nuggets. You could be a Knicks fan, though. That would be the only improvement on that comment. Mario Vargas, given the current squad, I think the age issue is a non-issue at this point. As Sinan said, we have a promising 2 years ahead. That's a Knicks fan. Mario. Justin, our squad depth
he's not
issues...
a Nets? Is he not a Nets?
No. He's... Come on.
Isn't that
he's
New
a
Jersey?
Real dude. Mario is too smart to do that to himself. I'm kidding.
Could be a Brooklyn. Is it the Brooklyn Nets or what? Is it?
Now it's the Brooklyn Nets. It used to be the New
Jersey, right?
If anything, he probably had some pride and was like, "Screw that! If you're gonna leave New Jersey, then I'm gonna leave your bum asses. No, but honestly, like the Knicks are like a legacy franchise. I think if he's close enough to New York, it makes sense. Like most of the region are Knicks fans, up to Connecticut. Anyway.
In Belgium, we have a saying where the city I used to live in, Antwerp. Like we used to say that everything else is parking, the parking lot. Like Antwerp is the city and the rest of Belgium's the parking lot. That's kind of New York, right? And New Jersey's the parking lot, or the garbage dump. I don't know.
I like Mario too much to engage in wherever that's going. But anyway, Yasin, continuing. Our squad depth issues will hold us back compared to Fener. We'll see. They still have some issues too, but the window's not done. Yusuf, our man, thoughts on signing Trippier? Able to play both sides, but he's 34 already, and people are apparently not keen on getting him. Kartal, as both the resident Scot and Brit. Yeah, sorry, I guess that's right. Anyway, but also the resident not so fond of having 30-plus-year-old players. What do you think, Kartal, about Trippier?
I think Trippier's had a phenomenal career, great player, but I just stay away, man. Like the guy's 34. I think if Newcastle are wanting to offload him for free, there's a reason behind it. So I think we should stay clear, man. Like there's no need.
One thing I'll say is his ability to play on either side is very promising, right?
I'd take the punt, but it would have to be like a year, like a 1+1 year deal or something like that. Like I'm not willing to give him like 2+1. Like I don't want another Ox situation.
I agreed fully. Like Ox is the perfect. Yeah.
Like I'm kind of having the feeling that the English are starting to discover Turkey as a viable end of career destination. Like Jonjo Shelvey now at Ayoub, and he was at Rize last season. You've got Alex Pritchard at Sivasspor. And look, I'm not saying those guys aren't giving 100%.
Yeah, man, at least they're playing. Yeah, freaking Ox is.
Yeah, but like Ox was giving 100% when he was playing last year as well.
That's true. No, that's true.
A little bit more now. But then, like, if you want to get rid of him and he has a long contract, it's not because he gives 100% on the pitch that he's going to be willing to let go of that contract. So I would be in favor of getting Trippier if we don't have another alternative that can play both sides, if it's just for a season.
Yeah. Continuing. Mario, I think Trippier would be a good signing. So we're getting the gamut of thoughts on this. El Nesri only had 2 good seasons. That was Yasin. Mario, in my eyes, Chiro is our new true blue captain. What a great player to have. We probably all agree on that. Or at least, among them. One of the co-captain or something. Yasin Enesunel, plays for Bournemouth.
I think that captain armband would look great on him. I'm just gonna, him or Rafa. I think Rafa is a fantastic. I think he's our best player. I don't know if he necessarily is the captain type. He's a little timid and all. Like timid is not maybe the right word, but like. He's not super. Yeah, he's a flashy player in the sense that he has some fantastic footwork, but he's not like super. I don't think he's a super alpha. Kind of like Messi, if that makes sense. Like a little quiet. He lets his feet do the talking. I
know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
That's actually a good comp as far as like leadership. Style, if you will. Yeah, sure. No, I like that.
I think on the pitch you need someone that's gonna talk to the ref and who has an aura about him, and I definitely think Chiro is the best for that.
Yeah, and you look at how he's already taking an active role in developing, you could say, Semi, right? Like, when they scored and he's like trying to get the crowd to cheer him on, or when he assists him, So yeah, no, I agree with that. He has leadership in his DNA, it seems.
Kartal was going to add something.
Yeah, sorry, Kartal, do you want to say?
No, I was just saying, definitely. I think Chiro and Paulista are the 2 main leaders in the squad, for sure.
I think Rafa too,
Paulista the back line, for sure. Yeah, Rafa, like you said, though, like in the bespoken manner.
Yeah, but I think off the pitch, I think he's also very involved. I get that impression. Like when we see these interviews as well right now coming out from Hussein Yücel and stuff like that, like Yeah, they're putting Rafa very much on the forefront there too, I think.
Yeah.
And
Well, and actually, Hassan Youssel is the one who just confirmed that Rafa got on the phone with João Mario, and 20 minutes later he was coming.
And Feas said last week as well that because of the move for Jetson that didn't happen to Zenit, sometimes players when a big transfer like that doesn't happen and they had big money on the table, he got an improved contract, Jetson. So he was on 1.2 million. I think he's on like 1.7 or something like that right now. So that's it's not a great contract for Beşiktaş standards. That's a lot less than some players are making for sure. It's a good contract. It's not terrible, but he was getting like 4 million a year offer from Zenit. And a player could be disgruntled after a move like that breaks down. But Feas said last week, I think after our game, that Rafa's arrival really made it easy for Jetson to accept and just, buckle down and stay because he's happy to stay. And that's, very much Rafa's influence.
Yeah, for sure. No, he's a leader on the back end at the very least, for sure. Anyway, continuing on. Where are we? Baba Fingo. Guys, we'll be champions this year and the next one. Mario, hope so. And we all do. Mario, hell yeah. Knicks. All the way. So I like this one. So Irgendvast meets Games, who just subscribed on YouTube. He said, I'm a long-time audio-only listener. Just dropped in first time to the live. Usually I listen to the episodes while running. I love that. And I think Kaan will love that as well, right? We've committed so much time over the years to developing a listenership that you wonder, right? Because with the audio-only podcast, it's just like you speak into the ether and you see these numbers you had this many listeners and random countries, but you don't know who, you don't see any names, there's never any sort of back and forth. So it's very nice to know that people are making that move over here. Welcome,
especially as well with the recent talk, because with this switch to YouTube, obviously YouTube is free for us to do. Podcast hosting can get really expensive. I thought it was 108, but apparently it's $130 a year for our current hosts. Yeah. And it just renewed as well. And I feel like I'm doing it for 30 or so people, but I don't want to let those people down because they're still listening to the audio show mainly. Yeah. And as long as we have listeners on audio only, I want to be able to give them that. And, plus it's an extra way for people to find a podcast because not a lot of people think, I'm going to listen to a podcast. Let me type that in on Google, on YouTube. They usually go on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever, and they look, Beşiktaş podcast or something like that, and maybe they find us that way. Obviously, YouTube is much easier for people to find you, but yeah. But good news, Sinan. After this year, I have actually found a free host that I'm gonna move our podcast over to. I just moved another podcast I'm doing over there to try it out as a guinea pig, and everything is free there. So the hosting unlimited and all that kind of stuff. So it's gonna save us. Save me. I should say a lot of money
these days.
Yeah, you paid for it for a few years. I paid for it for a few years. We both forked out a lot of money over the years to get this done.
And for anyone who has been here for the long haul, it's funny because I was doing it alone for a while. Because Kaan was moving into a new home and everything. There was all kinds of drama.
I was living in a box.
And I finally was about to stop because of the whole Şenol Güneş thing. I had made a promise to our listeners. I was like, if we go backwards, I'm done with this. And I had there were a couple rounds of that already. And so this last time I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm out. And then finally, Kaan was ready to roll it back. And so, the timing worked out perfectly, actually, because there was a phase where people didn't really want to be thinking about Beşiktaş too much. And so we went a little quiet there. But anyway, let's get back to it. Where were we? It doesn't matter being Turkish. Thanks, Baba Fingo. Mario, 100%. Kartal's accent is awesome. We agree. We love it. Glaswegian for the world. Baba Fingo, yeah, dude, even Americans can't speak perfect English. Yeah, so maybe we're helping them too. Mario, laughing with us. He's a teacher, an English teacher, so he gets it. and there's the whole trolling
where, we are, were. It's all. This is the hardest thing for English people. I have the impression.
Yep. The channel will be grown. Thanks, Baba Fingo. Don't worry, just get into touch with the right people. We're trying. Save for that unfortunate own goal. Paulista has been great. So yeah, some confirmation on those comments. Screw the Nets. I love this guy, Mario. Let me just say. Baba Fingo, are you the brother of Melissa Vargas? There are a lot of Vargases in the world. In fact, I think we have a couple in the Super League, right? Didn't we have a Vargas?
We used to, yeah. The guy that Demirspor went to China. He was pretty good.
Yeah.
What was his name again? We were linked with him for a while. Do you
remember
we
was it Chris Vargas?
No. Kartal, you remember? Come on, the guy that played for Adana Demirspor, the Spanish guy, the winger.
Vargas.
Victor Vargas? Maybe no.
It was definitely Vargas.
Yeah, I don't remember his first
Mario
name.
Vargas. Like Mario Vargas. Duh. Like my brain is just shot. My brain is still shot from coaching yesterday, man. My whole body is shot. All right.
I got the good one. He was very good.
Yeah,
Mateo Vargas. That's why I was thinking Mario.
Was it
Maybe
Mateo?
I don't remember.
No, I don't think it was Mateo. No, it wasn't. That's not even a Hispanic name. That's Italian.
Anyway,
Matias.
But you know,
Matias Vargas.
Matias Vargas. That's right.
That sounds right.
Matias.
Anyway, Baba Finga says Trippier will be a legend if he comes. Mario confirms that he is not related to Melissa Vargas. Just that shot of yeah, I mean it's a shame for the rest of us, maybe.
The only famous relative we've had is Toya. She's been in the chat. She's the only famous relative to anyone remotely famous that I know of.
It could have been cool to get Melissa Vargas on our podcast. Anyway, dudes that have an 8-year-old nephew in DC. He is a fanatic Beşiktaş fan. Would it be all right to put him into your channel? If you mean put him into it, you mean to get him into it, like to watch? I would say yes. One caveat is we do curse a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe we could try to tone it down a little. Let us know if he's watching in the comments, and like we'll be conscious of it in that case. But be warned beforehand. If you don't warn us, we're loose cannons at times.
Especially.
Say again, Kartal.
Said me especially.
By the way, if in case you mean the WhatsApp community, I did some changes there because I had the link, the invite link up publicly, and we were constantly getting these spammers coming in with their crypto scams. So I changed the link now, and I haven't put the new link online. So everyone is welcome to join our WhatsApp community, but it's only upon request. So if you want the new link, the invite link, just contact me on Twitter, on X. You can see my handle right here underneath my mug. So @Rosarian, just send me a message on Twitter, and I'll get you that invite link for the WhatsApp community.
Such a superb trequartista. I think we're talking about Rafa there. I assume. Baba Finga, I'm proud of you, bros. Thank you, sir.
Baba Fingo is full of the praise, man.
I know you love an active chatter. Good.
He's taking Omer's place in the chat right now. No,
I know, yeah.
So
yeah,
Baba
man,
Finga
sleeping.
is,
that's what happens when you sleep. When you're sleeping, you get replaced. No, I'm kidding.
Is he sleeping?
No, I don't know. I mean, figuratively.
I haven't seen him in the chat today as much. Usually, he's very active in the community as well. So maybe he has like a family day or something.
Mario, I remember those times. I call those times the Sinan solo era. Single tier. As we say goodbye to that permanently. Thankfully, though, it's a lot more fun not doing it like that. And it was like a dark time, man. Things were bad for a few years there. Huh? Anyway, we're talking about Melissa Vargas' height and background, I guess.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Do we have any other comments that we need to get to? Otherwise, I'd like to move on.
Yeah, I think we're done. We're done. Yeah, we're done. That's it.
All right. Then let's talk about something that has been really on a lot of the whole Beşiktaş community's mind for the last 2 months, but especially I think since the last 2 weeks or so, because we had the UEFA deadline, the UEFA registration deadline on the 4th. That was last week, Thursday, I believe. So really, Beşiktaş were looking to offload a couple of more foreigners. Amartey, Ox, and Aboubakar. They had to go in order for us to bring in anyone new. And there was a lot of... My mom says it this way, like making somebody happy with a dead mouse. And there was a lot of that going on social media with the usual journalists. Like, oh, he's agreed to go. Oh, he's gonna go there. He's gonna go there. And then nothing materialized. It was always the same. Some really funny quotes on that, which we are actually going to get to. I just need to bring them up, just so bear with me. But it's been such a saga, such a dramatic situation. Kartal, what were you saying? Sorry.
To be fair, it got to the point where the journalists were saying, "Oh, there's an offer for Amartey from Ayubspor."
Yeah.
They didn't think he was going, because they said by this point we've gotten used to the fact that an offer will come in for him, and then the last minute back out.
Yeah.
Of them
So here's a quote from Hussein Yücel on the screen right now. Kartal or Sinan. Sinan, do you want to read that? Or do you have to You're muted, Sinan.
Whoops. Sorry about that. He said, Amartey is a strange person. We made an agreement with a team from Arabia. He didn't get on the plane. We made an agreement with Ayubspor. He escaped from the back door of our facilities, which...
What? What is that? I like immediately when I read this, I had this image in my head of him just
like
running
sneaking,
out.
You know, like, woo-hoo.
like, no, they're gonna force me to go to Ayubspor, and I don't know.
That's crazy.
Sorry, keep going.
So like they're like, here are the documents. Daniel, Dan, where did he go?
Where did he go?
He like snuck out. That's hilarious.
Can you imagine like if that is like how it happened? Like just like then whoever was in charge was like Amartey, for the umpteenth time.
He's gone again. Damn it! We had the paperwork ready. Anyway.
God.
And so he insisted on going to Germany or England. When I said the transfer period was closed, he said, "What do you mean it's closed?" I mean, like he'd never heard of a transfer window. Yeah, I don't. This guy.
This can't be real. This has to be made up. Like instead of like trying to like, I feel like they've gone from trying to make him out to be some sort of money whore to now being a complete and utter nincompoop.
Yeah, he's lost it. Yeah.
I think both are true though. I think he is a money whore and he's a retard at the same time. Both can be true.
Oof, you have to be careful with that one, though, Kartal.
Yeah.
That word. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like this is so comical.
Yeah.
Let me know. Let me know what you think of the new graphic. By the way, I made this.
I like it. Yeah,
it's good.
Very good.
Okay.
I wouldn't phrase it. I'll say that he is a money hole and has additional support needs, most likely at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, look. I have to wipe away the tears for a second. But like seriously, that story. Like, is it possible that that's even remotely true? Like, can you imagine, like, he slipped out of the facilities? Like, what the hell? And then he, like, what do you mean the window is closed? Imagine this.
Have you never heard of a transfer window, Daniel? Like,
imagine this entire time the guy's been refusing all offers because he's been holding out for offers from England and Germany, even though the window's been closed for like a week. Like,
it's insane.
But I mean, this is also something that's been said over the last week or so. Is that we even offered these guys extra money to go. So we had offers from, at least for Amartey, we had offers from 7 or so different clubs. From a bunch of Saudi clubs, obviously Ayoub. I think there was even Arouca, the team that loaned Montero from us last season. So a team in Portugal. certainly not a bad destination if you ask me. So there were offers from clubs, and I doubt Arouca probably didn't offer to cover everything, but like definitely those Saudi clubs offered to cover his entire wages. And Beşiktaş even offered him extra money on top of that to go, and this guy refused. Look, I'm not saying that's how it is. That's what is being said by Beşiktaş officials and reporters and all that. Like, I'm not saying that's how it is because I know the what goes into transfer politics, and a lot of the stuff gets said that isn't true, so take it with a pinch of salt. But like, imagine you get offered 1.8 million a year, which is his wages supposedly, by a team is willing to cover it, and then Beşiktaş says we'll give you an additional 200 or 300k if you just go, and you turn that down. Like,
It's crazy.
That doesn't make any sense.
Look at the Aboubakar situation with Hatay, right? Like, supposedly they're only paying, like, I don't know, 500k or something of his salary, and we're paying the rest. But that's perfect. Like, we're paying less. He's off our books. Yeah. He's playing. Like, surely we could come to some sort of like agreement that's best for both parties. And it's wild to me that these guys just want to sit around. I mean, and credit to Ox, like he says he wants to fight for a spot or whatever. Like, if that's legit, I mean, I don't know.
Those are empty words, Sinan.
I would assume so. Look, but at least he's like making the effort to say them, right? With Amartey, there's just this. It's like a.
Like, I cannot imagine that the club has not, exhausted all options. Like with Ox, let's say Southampton came in. Ox is making what, 3 million a year. What if Southampton said we're willing to cover 1 million and you cover, like, the stuff that's coming out is that, like, Hussein Yücel said this last week, Ox wants to tear up, is okay with, agrees with tearing up his contract, but in order to do so, he wants 6.5 million and he wants it all up front. So he wants everything now. So Yücel said to the media at the time, well, then it makes more sense for us to keep him under contract and pay off his wages gradually. Like, it doesn't make sense at all for us to pay him out 6.5 million straight in one go. And plus, why would he be entitled to 6.5 million? Like, dude, you can sign a new contract somewhere else. Okay, you're not gonna be getting 3 million a year because there's no Ahmet Nurçebi in England, I think. Maybe Todd Bowley, but, like, okay, maybe you're gonna get like 800,000 pounds or something, but then at least that saves us like 2 million. Like, play some ball, man. Like, come on, you can't expect, like, it's
wild.
It's wild. I feel like the
Aboubakar thing. Power. And the Aboubakar thing proves that we were willing to do that we were willing to pay for most of their contract as long as they could just go somewhere and play. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's if anything, they're any defense that we could come up with for any of these two guys is sort of undercut by the fact that we came to an agreement like that for Abou. So that's sort of shameful, honestly. It's embarrassing for them. I don't know who wants to hire them at this point, given what they're doing. Honestly, like, who's going to want to pay them a contract at this? Like, they might as well just retire, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you're a club and, like, look, this is all very public, and it doesn't take much for a club to figure this out, like what is going on right now. If I am, say, Southampton, I don't want to offer someone like Ox more than a 1-year deal because he's clearly not willing to give up the rest. If let's say he gets injured for 6 months and after this season I decide to not continue with him, like, he's gonna stick. He's gonna stay. He's not gonna work with you to try and find a new club unless, like, you pay him out completely. Like, I expect a lot more from Ox, honestly. I'm not surprised with Aboubakar. I'm Amartey, I mean, African players in general. African players and Brazilian players, I know for them, it's not just about them, it's about sometimes their entire village. You know what I mean? Like, they are helping a lot of people with that money. So if it makes sense, I blame them less. No, I kind of understand that they want that bag. I get that. I get that Ox wants it too. I get it. But come on, dude. You played for years for Liverpool, for Arsenal. Like,
I think Ox is more understandable than Amartey.
Is it? You don't know how many people Amartey is supporting back home in Ghana, right? Like, I mean, I don't know either. But like, for all we know, he's supporting his entire village. So,
like, just not thinking of any of that. He was offered the same amount of money. Go and play in Saudi Arabia. The same amount of money to play for Ayubspor.
Yeah.
The difference with Ox was he was only receiving offers of 700k from England. That's a big difference. He's on 3 million just now at Beşiktaş. I don't think you can tell.
Yeah, but I'm sure Beşiktaş are willing to cover the difference, Kartal. Like, he wants everything. Like,
yeah, I know. I agree that it's a bit like him wanting everything is a bit of a dick move, but I think
it doesn't make sense. Why would he?
If Ox is a dick, right? I think Amartey's a super dick because. There's literally no loss to Amartey at all. We know that for a fact. With Ox, we don't know the facts. If Beşiktaş offered to cover the difference or not, we don't know that. It's not.
We don't know.
There's been no transparency.
We can make an educated guess, right? I think the big difference is for Ox that he has a clear destination that he'd want, and that's England, and that window's closed. But that's also on him. Like, he's been in talks with clubs for 2 months or whatever, or 60 days or 40 days or whatever. He's been in talks with clubs for a long time. Like, clearly there's an issue there. Like, it's not like we're gonna be demanding a transfer fee or anything like that, so it must be on his part where he's too demanding. Like, sometimes you have to add some water to your wine.
Yeah, but like, for example, like Hussein Ujel's openly said that Amartey, if he went to Saudi or if he went to he wouldn't have lost any money. There's been no statement like that made about Ox, so that makes me think that something like that hasn't came.
Yeah, but I think for Ox, there's more of a willingness to work with him still. I think Amartey, they just want to get rid of him, so they are completely throwing him under the bus. I also think you need to be a little bit more careful with Ox because he's English and. A really bad spat, a really bad falling out with him could turn ugly because obviously, there's gonna be
bad press or whatever.
Bad press, and I think with Amartey, there's not gonna be bad press. So I mean,
another difference is that Amartey is like unplayable. He was so bad last year, right? Like, even if somehow it was like, oh, okay, there's no scenario where you'd want him playing for you in any realm of possibility, in any multiverse.
He was so bad. Is he the worst transfer we've done since, like, I mean, let's say the last 10 years, like, not counting like Julio Alves or something. Like, is he the worst transfer we've done?
Bro, Julio Alves was better than fucking
maybe, yeah. He didn't cost nearly as much. All I can say is that if Şenol Güneş was truly the one who like insisted on Amartey over Ciku,
you should get him at Trabzon.
Good luck, Trabzon. Have fun with that. Anyway, what's next? What's the next? I feel like we have a lot to talk about. No.
Still this? I mean, really this? I mean, Aboubakar apparently finally agreed to join Hatay. So in the thumbnail, I had it as the Three Musketeers, essentially, all three of them blocking a move. But it looks like, knock on wood, that it's happening finally, and Aboubakar at least is heading out. And I don't like this. He's staying in the league. And I don't.
He might screw us. Huh? You're worried about that?
Remember Eneramo when we loaned him to what was it, Karabuk or something?
Yeah, something
and
like
he
that.
scored a 90-minute winner against us.
Yeah,
man. If that happens, I'm gonna be fuming. Like, Aboubakar, I think his expiration date is probably he's past it probably in that regard to play for Beşiktaş, because I don't think he has the legs anymore.
Yeah,
you've seen that but he still has that amazing right foot. Like, he can still score
He did it for Cameroon. Was it yesterday?
He just scored. Yeah, exactly. He just scored for Cameroon yesterday against Namibia. Like, I think for a club like that, like for
He's
Hatay,
probably kind of a great profile to striker.
he could be. I mean, he's a moment player right now, and I think at Beşiktaş you need more consistency. You need more than just those moments. You need him to be more present in the build-up and all that kind of stuff. I think for Beşiktaş, I don't think there was much room for him to build on.
Yeah.
But he still has that special ability in him, and he could really hurt some teams. Now, I hope he channels his energies towards Fener and Gala and not towards us.
Yeah, hopefully. And honestly, I'm pretty certain that if he scores against us, he probably won't celebrate. Like I don't think he bears any animosity, right? Like,
I mean, he's gotten so much money off of us over the years, right? Like, and we have literally reignited his career twice. Like, I hope there's no animosity there. Like,
I mean, compared to like Ox and Amartey, he's practically a good guy at this point.
I mean, he's the one. He's the one apparently who's willing to work and go. So you know, he gets more credit than those two guys from me right now. Kartal, I think you wanted to say something.
There's also the thing where he could have left a lot earlier, man.
He could have, for sure. Yeah.
He said for ages, "Oh, I'm not going. I want to stay." Then eventually he left. Like, I wish he left before the UEFA deadline, for example, because then maybe another.
I mean, we still have 15 though, so.
Yeah, but just the way it's looking is, like the two that I mean, I suppose with Ox, it seems like maybe he can't be left outside the squad because of that stipulation where we need to. He could basically terminate his contract if we don't.
I wonder if that's if that's something he included in his contract specifically because of his injury proneness or something like that, or maybe. If that is something that's standard. Because the impression I got from the reports was that that's a standard thing in a contract. That would also.
It doesn't.
Sorry.
Because if you look at Paspro, look at Adam Lenic, look at.
Yeah, but those were all players that they always had to agree to freeze their deals. You couldn't just do it. Like Amir agreed to freeze his deal last year. Ox didn't. Remember? Even going way back to Matias Delgado in 2010, he had to agree, 2009 I think, he had to agree to freezing his deal before we could like unregister him. So I think it might be a general thing. But the difference is if you're going to freeze Amartey's deal and he decides to tear it up and then you have to pay him, we're not talking 6.5 million. You're talking like 3.5 or something, right? Like it's a dip. So it's it's not as big of a blow than it is if you freeze Ox out and not register him for anything, because Ox can take you for 6.5 mil. So I think if we don't get rid of either of these guys, I guess one of them is like Amartey is going to be the one who is going to get the bag and is going to get paid out, and Ox is going to have to remain sitting on his ass and try again in January.
Yep.
Yeah. What I don't understand though about that, Kaan, is I remember like what you said about Delgado. I remember that. Like we had to freeze his contract. Was it to sign? And they signed Tabata in his place. Was that right?
I think he tore his ACL or something like that. He had a really bad injury, so we had to sign someone else at the time.
I'm sure Tabata was his replacement.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, right. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he had an injury, so we had to freeze his contract because of that.
I remember that happening, but I can't remember any talk of having to agree to like revoking a license for Ensakala, Lige, Lens. I can't remember any talk of that then. So maybe it's.
But Lens, didn't we loan Lens out and stuff like that? We loaned him a few times, didn't we?
We loaned him once to Karagümrük in the second of the 2021 season, but the first half he trained.
Yeah, but it can also be like just be that the players agree to not, they can just maybe sign a piece of paper and say it's fine as long as I get paid. Like I don't know, but this is very clearly they want there. Like, I think Ox just wants the 6.5 and he wants to go. Like, I don't think he wants to stay in Turkey. Like I said before in previous episodes, he has a wife and a young kid back home in England. So, like, obviously, he'd much rather take the 6.5 and go back to England than sit on his ass for 6 months and then maybe sign a contract with Coventry or something, or Bristol or whatever in the Championship and play for 200 grand, you know, for half a year. So, I don't know. It's an annoying situation, which has also for us been difficult because we have not been able to make the squad depth moves that we you know perceive that we need. We've talked about it plenty of times already, but we don't really have good coverage at left back for Masuaku. We don't really have good coverage at right back for Svensson, and we don't necessarily have a good enough, in my opinion, then coverage for Chiro. But that clearly is not something that the staff agrees with. But definitely the fullback position.
I think what you see, Kaan, is from what I understand from the talking at the press. Gio's quite happy with Chiro, Semi and Mustafa.
Yeah.
If there is a full back signed, I don't think we're going to sign a right back. I think on our boat, because there's actually talk of him getting a
pay hike,
a wage hike.
Yeah.
Which should we talk about that?
Yes, let's talk about that in a second. But let's finish. Kartal.
So, what I understand, Kaan, I think if possible, the first priority is going to be left back, and then if there's a second signing to be made, it's going to be a winger. From what I've heard, that's the talk.
But there can be. That's impossible to sign a second signing, is it not? Because then you have to like send out Onana on loan. Like otherwise, it's not possible. Because if both Ox and Amartey leave, you have one extra foreign spot.
Yeah, so there is talk of Onana potentially leaving as well. That there has tons of that.
I think that's dumb because you can still use Onana right now. I think if you're going to loan him, you should do it in January and you should loan him to a high-profile league. Because Onana is somebody that if you loan him to Italy and he plays a lot and he plays well, you can actually make a profit on him. So
he's got a market. Yeah, exactly. There's a market for him.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, loaning him to Kasımpaşa or something would be stupid because what's he gonna get out of 6 months at Kasımpaşa? Like nobody, like that's not gonna increase his market value. So I'd rather just keep him than I think. Although the thing is now with João Mario, you have a player who can play so many different roles that maybe Onana has become a little bit redundant. But yeah.
I mean, you could even play João Mario at the number 6.
Exactly, yeah. He can play that Musrati role very very efficiently, I think. You know, with the pinpoint passes and all that. Okay, let's talk about that honor bulletin you brought up, Kartal. You mentioned that there's talk about him getting an improved contract. I saw this tweet about this yesterday. And like it said, like he's getting an improved contract. So I responded to it. I said, "Does that mean Onor's gonna?" I said, "Is Onor going to improve his performance as well?" Then, and I got a bunch of replies to that, like over 100 likes. So a lot of Beşiktaş fans clearly agreed with the sentiment. But then I had this one guy who was like, "Oh, but he's only on like 300 or 400k a year right now, and this is going to motivate him." And I was typing a response, and I didn't because I just thought to myself, dude, like, is 150k extra a year really going to suddenly cause this guy to not shit his pants every time he steps on the field? Like,
shouldn't it be the opposite, Kaan? Doesn't it theoretically put more pressure on him to perform? And given how he responded to pressure last year,
because the fans are like, "Oh, this guy just got an extra 150k a year, and he's so fucking shit." They're just gonna boo him even more. Like, I don't think they're gonna boo him right now because obviously we're in a positive flow, and I don't even think our fans are that toxic that they're going to start booing a guy when the team is playing well.
Look, do you want me to be honest? I think if Onor goes back to playing, like maybe if he plays the odd game here and there, and the fan reception's fine, I wouldn't be surprised if he plays decent.
Yeah, but then give him a raise after that, Kartal. Give him a raise
make him earn
when
it
he
first.
Plays well. Don't give a guy a raise
for the sake of
because when he just played the shittest season of his career.
I agree, man.
Plus, if you
Yeah,
remember under Orman, do you remember? Like we at a certain point we came to a stage where we came out of the Feda season, right? And everyone was on low wages. And like the new guys who signed, like Olcay, Vili, Ozhan, like all those kids, they signed low contracts. And then when we were like, when we were growing and the club was getting more financially healthy and we were more successful, suddenly we started seeing like Mustafa Pektemek, Olcay, Vili Kavlak, all those guys getting like 1.5 million a year deals. It made offloading Mustafa Pektemek impossible. It's left us with a massive headache with Vili when he fucked his shoulder, because we had to pay out the remainder of his 3 years of his contract, which was like what, 4.5 million, even though his career was over. Like, I get that you want to like gradually kind of you don't want to have Chiro on 600,000 and then Svensson on 300k. You don't, Chiro on 6 million and Svensson on 300k. You don't want that. But Onur Bulut is a bit player. He's a backup. He's a limited football player. He clearly cannot handle the pressure. Like, I don't think there's much justification to give this guy more money, even if it's only 100 or 150k more. Like, I think he has 1 year left on his contract. He playing for Beşiktaş, this should be a motivation enough for a player like Onur Bulut. Because he realistically...
This is his chance, right?
Exactly.
To make a name for himself.
He's just added a Turkish cup and a Super Cup to his trophy cabinet, his empty trophy cabinet. Maybe this season, knock on wood, he adds more to that. His career, he's going to be able to tell his grandchildren in 20 years' time, I played for Beşiktaş, I won this, I was part of that team. That should be enough for him, man. He doesn't need an extra 150k. I don't know how you people in the comments feel about this. Like, there were clearly some...
Isn't it kind of setting a bad precedent a little too? It's kind of like you kind of inherently...
I think
have a right to asking for a pay raise if you have a spot in the rotation. Like,
and I don't think that's because
no matter how you play.
And it's not because we're spending more money on Rafa and on Chiro and all those guys that suddenly everyone's wages needs to go up. Like, that's the mistake we made under Orman. I hope we don't make that mistake again. Like, those guys agreed to those deals. Look, if Jetson plays like he's playing now and he extends in like, I don't know how much. I think he has a contract until 27. But like, if he continues playing the way he's playing right now, and you give him a 2.5 million deal at the end of the season, fine, he deserves it, no problem. When Ozhan got his new deal, no problem. He was one of our best players. That didn't end up well for us, but he was at the time. He 100%
at least you could legitimize it. Yeah, when
he deserved it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like giving Vili Kavlak the same money you gave Töre and Ozhan at the time, to me didn't make much sense. But anyway, that was the Onur Bulut rant that I didn't have. Oh, one guy even told me. He said, if you don't like it, get out of the club or something, or go support another club. I thought to myself,
come on. That's not.
Do I have to approve of throwing money away? Like,
look,
I hate that. I hate that sort of.
It's a bit of a toxic sentiment, right?
Yeah.
There's people that criticise everything.
Yeah.
Which is not right. And on the other side of the coin, there's people that act as if you're some sort of traitor if you make the slightest criticism.
Yeah.
Which is that's. I think you see if you just say everything's good, everything's brilliant. That's not being a true fan.
No, you need to be critical, but you need to be fair and you need to be constructive. You can't just say, "Oh, everything is shit," blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah.
Yeah, and it's not like Kaan's not like istifa, like board management, like everyone out. No, he's just like, that was a weird decision, which is, I think, a very fair.
Of course,
thought, you know.
I think if you get into this zone of just saying everything's great, even when it's not everything's great, that's when you could question, is this guy really a Beşiktaş fan, or are they just someone that's right up the board's arse, like up Hassan ass and just trying to soak up. Like, I think constructive criticism, as Kaan says, will only improve things and make the club better.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's enough on the honor bullet thing. Anything you guys want to add on the whole Amartey, Ox, Aboubakar gate, guys?
Yeah. So what do we think of the Twitter campaigns, the social media lunch campaign?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Kartal, I want you to introduce them, Kartal. What are the hashtags that you're referring to?
Yeah, please introduce the hashtags.
End of Ox era.
Oh my god. That one is so cringe.
Hashtag for Amartey is hashtag time to go home, Amartey. I don't like that either. I don't like that one because I feel like go home's always kind of had racial connotations.
Yeah, it's like the anti-immigrant thing almost. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I know it's not intended like that but like.
Yeah, it's just lost in translation, probably. But
by the way, Kartal, it's super. Like your face is super dark. Did the sun go away?
Yeah, the sun's going down. I need to put the light on. It'll be 2 seconds. You guys keep talking. I'll put the light on.
Yeah, and then I mean you mentioned it already, Sinan, but the one for Alex is.
Hashtag end of Ox era. It's not even good grammar. Like it's not the end of the Ox era or something.
It's so cringe. Also completely inappropriate because there's never been an Ox era.
I know. Yeah. It's not like he was like our legend.
That, like,
yeah.
I mean, I often like sometimes Beşiktaş even put out these videos and they're in English. And I cringe.
Yeah.
You know, when like some of these accounts, like these big social media Twitter accounts from fan groups, to try to do English. For example, I think Kartal, they have people who know proper English, like, and even they put out some weird shit sometimes.
No, and it's so consistently bad that there's a part of me that's just like, guys. Let it go. Give it up, man. Or outsource. Like, look, like here we are, right? We have lots of native speakers and fluent speakers who are Beşiktaş fans who can just help you come up with the proper thing. That said, let me now go to the more sort of existential issue here. I'm not a big fan of these whole hashtag things, honestly. Like, I don't see the need.
What does it accomplish? Do you think they read that? Do you think they see that? Do you think they care?
No, and if anything, it's you're creating hostility and negativity and hard feelings. Like, ideally, they go and we just wash our hands of it, and there's never any more talk about it. Like, I don't think we need to do this whole, make them feel scared. Like when I first saw the thing about Amartey like sneaking out the back room, I thought it might have been, and it was like before I read the full context, that it was like he was scared of our fans, and he had to sneak out and of course now it's even more ridiculous because it was like avoiding signing paperwork. But yeah, we don't need to do that. Let's just let them get out of here and be done with it.
It doesn't accomplish anything. I also like I don't want them to. Like I'm happy we play away now because imagine our home we will be playing home on Sunday and like banners and stuff. Like I really hope they're gonna be out of the club by Friday, so nothing.
Yeah, so we don't have any time for that bullshit. Yeah, exactly. Or at least maybe we do so well they forget about it or something.
There were actually fans online who were advocating making monkey noises.
Yeah, racist shit. Come
and throwing
on,
bananas. Man. Like I wrote a tweet about this, but this is completely and utterly against the principles of our club, the principles and the values of Beşiktaş.
It's antithetical to what we stand for.
Exactly. Like that guy who told me when on my honor comment to go support another club. Actually, if you legitimately think you make monkey noises and throw bananas, you
go support another club. Yeah.
Go support a fucking other club because Beşiktaş.
This guy said that though. Was he one of the ones? Was he one of the ones that said that?
No, I have no clue, man. There's some
hopefully not. That would be
guy.
Too easy of a gotcha.
Some random guy. No. No, but like the people who are saying those types of things, it's just so bad. Like Cagliari, for example, like they did in Italy this happens a lot, and in Spain this happens a lot. It is such bad PR for your club.
Oh
is
my God,
horrendous PR for your club. Like take for example Lukaku. If you ever want to get a player like that, like I'm not saying Lukaku, but just an example. Like forget about it, right? If your club gets this label of having racist fans, like a guy like Lukaku was very outspoken against that kind of stuff, is never going to come and play for your club. Never.
Or like Vinicius. Ever. Not that we'd ever get him, but
no, but yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's not just that. Also, just be a fucking decent motherfucking human person, man. Like racism is not okay. Beşiktaş is not a club that tolerates that. And if
we're a working class club, man. That's like against everything we've stood for from the beginning. Like I agree fully.
No,
it's just shameful. It's a shameful sentiment.
We traditionally have a history of standing up against it.
Exactly. I've said on air, a huge part of me becoming a Beşiktaş fan, or at least like going from like a regular, like, I support Beşiktaş to being like a diehard, was hearing people here in the United States found out about our anti-racism campaigns and thought it was so cool and like, oh, like that's a cool idea, and they were like learning, oh, I didn't know there was like cool football clubs in the world that like stand for things like that.
If you remember in the 2000s, I think Samuel Eto'o was getting racially abused. I don't remember if it was in Spain or if it was in Italy, but back then our fans had a massive banner in the stadium.
Racism.
Happy Miss Zentius, we're all black. And that's Beşiktaş. So if there's actually fans, I don't condone violence, but seriously, if you're in the stands, guys, and some guy is taking out a banana to throw on the fucking pitch, fucking sucker punch that motherfucker, man. Like seriously, like that is not okay, not in my club. Fenerbahçe, they can throw bananas if they want. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about Galatasaray, but Beşiktaş, no. So you can be 100% pissed off at Amartey, at Ox, at Abou. Okay, Abou is going, whatever. You can be pissed at these guys. You can boo them. You can jeer them. You cannot.
If you insist.
You cannot make monkey noises. You cannot throw bananas. If you do that, you're a piece of shit, and you need to get the fuck out.
Yep.
Yeah, we draw the line at racism and violence.
Yeah.
Unless it's violence against racism.
Yeah, that's true.
I condone that. I support that.
No, and like, remember when Fener fans were making fun of Ukrainians during their friendly? Wasn't that like a friendly? No,
oh my god, yeah, because they got knocked out by Dynamo Kiev.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was, and then they were like chanting Putin and shit. In the stadium. Like they were chanting Putin's name.
Get that shit out of here. Yeah, we don't like.
That's just that, bro. They had fucking Vladimir Putin face masks.
Yeah, they were prepared for it. Like, dude, fuck that. Yeah. I hope we never fall to those.
Let Fener be that club in Turkey, please. Beşiktaş need to stay away from that as far as possible. If that is the type of person you are, go across the freaking Bosporus and go put on a yellow-blue jersey. You can do that kind of shit over there, man.
Go be a little canary.
That stuff, though, guys. I think that is maybe a small but vocal minority on social media. One thing that I've always noticed is, see the type of fan that goes to the games.
Yeah.
Very different from the profile fan on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like, there was a period of time where the fan on social media, for example, was very toxic against Quaresma.
Yeah, that's true. And then in the stadium, they would just be Quaresma.
And the same goes for Najib as well. Najib will always be cheered in the stadium, but he gets so much shit on social media.
But then, on the other hand, like Onur, Tolga, there's been players in the past that got booed in the stadium, and which wasn't,
of course.
I mean,
or Ozan, of course.
Ozan Ozan got some.
Which I do not condone, by the way. I don't condone any player getting booed, because ultimately these guys are being paid by this club so that they can do a job for Beşiktaş.
Yeah, to perform. And so it's our job as fans to do whatever we can to help them perform, even if we hate their guts.
Even if you don't rate someone, you don't, like, for example, Ismail Yildirim is writing, Onur is a good player, he's just low on confidence because of his he needs a mental reset. I think that's a good point. I mean, Kartal made this point a while ago. He had a fantastic season at Kayserispor before he came to us. personally, I don't think Onur is a good football player necessarily, but he's definitely a lot better than what we saw last season. He's not that shit. And the main reason he is that shit right now is because of our fans booing him. And I think, like you guys said, like, you need to support, like, it's in the word, supporters. You need to support.
Exactly.
I'm not saying you can't protest, but this is also something that Brad Fiedel said in his interview with the Transfer Room is, in most countries, if you play 4 or 5 bad games, you might get booed or whatever, or whistled at or whatever. But in Turkey, it's if you play a bad pass. And I think that is sometimes actually not even a big exaggeration, because like
no.
If you not necessarily support, but like if you just don't boo him, I think he gets out of that slump and he has a better chance at it at least. But if you continue to boo him every time he gets on the ball and that kind of stuff, like, what do you expect, man? Like, he's still playing. You're crippling somebody who's actively on the pitch. Like,
you're harming the club.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're not helping. You're part of the problem when you're doing that. And
in a way,
it's
it's
really
like
sad.
you want them to keep being bad because that's what you're helping. That's what you're facilitating.
I mean, the idea is so that they go, but look, you want these guys to give what they can, be at their best while your club is paying them, so that the team does well. Never boo your own players, man. I know our fans have been quite bad for it in recent years, but I'm completely against it.
There's exceptions, I think. I think when Tolga was getting booed, it was time for that, because that was more Şenol Güneş getting booed.
That was to tell the coach, like, dude,
that was
wake up.
Enough is enough. You have got Fabri on the bench, put him on the goddamn pitch. Like, he had already shafted Boyko the season before in favor of Tolga.
So
the
fans fears there's like a version 2.0.
There are exceptions, but 95% of the time, booing a player is wrong.
And it's like time and place, right? Like, I remember when they were booing Abou coming on as like a late sub when we needed a goal, and he was our lone striker. Like, dude, like, you need this guy to save your game. He's
score now. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway,
I was going to say something about Onur. Like, this is a guy that on his birthday he requested that the club don't put out a happy birthday message so that people wouldn't swear at him.
Yeah.
How sad is that, man? That's really upsetting.
That's really sad.
That's pathetic. And on our end, like, yeah.
No, not us personally, but
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That is that's really unfortunate and sad. And whether you like Onur as a football player or not, like, a lot of the players clearly love him. Many of those player interviews have said, like, who's the funniest player on the team, and they all say Onur. So in the dressing room, Onur is clearly somebody players like. Don't, like, it's not just what they contribute on the pitch, it's also what they contribute off the pitch. Like, the team spirit and all that kind of stuff comes into play. And what's this thing on my shirt? Sorry. I think that's an important aspect of as well that you shouldn't underestimate. So Onur, definitely not a bad guy or anything like that. And he's definitely capable of better performances than last season. I am 100% sure had he gone to Başakşehir, he would actually be good there.
Yeah. Or like Alanya or something like that.
Yeah, I think Başakşehir is the perfect club for him because they play at a higher level than Kayseri. I think he'll at a higher level he can handle. And there's no pressure. There's no fan pressure. I think he would flourish there. I just think that Beşiktaş, Fenerbahçe, Galatasaray are not a right club for Onur because clearly that pressure... I mean, 40,000 people screaming, jeering, whatever, like that does something to you, man. Like, we cannot imagine it, right? Like, we've never been in that situation, but...
Dude, yesterday I got upgraded to, like, coach, not assistant. Like, I didn't ask for that, but whatever. But so I was out there in front of... I was coaching like 40 kids, basically, like dividing them up. I mean, it was a bunch of us, but all of their parents. There was like 200 people watching us, like our every move, because it was like day one, and it was like tryouts and all that. It was so stressful just to have all those people watching your every move, and I was like on the pitch, but I mean, not. I had no pressure to perform by any means. But I can't even imagine having those people watching your every move and analyzing it. Look at that. Yeah, there's a level of scrutiny on these guys that I think we have to recognize. Like, of course, there are some guys who can't, elevate their performance to match that. That's crazy pressure.
Maybe there's an argument to be made then there, because Onur has been treated so poorly by our fans that's why he deserves more money. Because at least when you get paid properly, it's worth taking the hate. So I'm talking against my own argument right now.
Maybe you're talking yourself into it. Yeah.
Just a wee Sinan, I think you need to trim that squad, man. You've got a bit of a Chelsea situation there.
Yesterday we were dividing up into all the kids into teams, so we were like seeing their levels to try to make balanced teams. So we thought we'd have 4 teams. We might be able to bump it up to 6. I mean, it's actually more than 40 in the end. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. But we're gonna have like 7 or 8 players per team and like 5 on a pitch at a time, a couple subs. So should be fun. I'm excited.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Oh man, you have no idea.
One more thing, by the way, with Ox, apparently Adana Demirspor are interested in him, but they still have a transfer ban, so it's a matter of whether they can lift their transfer ban before the end of the window, which I'm not holding my breath, but if they can, they might offer Ox a way out, but whether he'll take it or not, that's something we'll have to remain and see.
They should loan Ersin too, man. They probably don't need to be playing a 15-year-old.
No, but no, we shouldn't loan Ersin because Mert has the tendency to get an injury now.
That's true. Yeah, maybe Bertug. We could loan Bertug or Göktürk. Yeah, that's what it is. Or Emre Demir. Man, he's too young. Then they're in the young keeper scenario again. Anyway.
Yeah, then we mentioned this already earlier, but it looks like Semi picked up an injury, so he is out of the national team squad. So that also means that most likely our new signing, Joao Mario, will have to play against Trabzon on Sunday. And that brings us to the final part of the podcast, which we are going to essentially talk about the transfers from this past window. Guys, on the screen right now, you can see the incoming and the outgoing players. So this season, we signed Rafa Silva, Ciro Immobile, Gabriel Paulista, Joao Mario, Felix Udukoy, Emirhan Topçu, Can Keleş, and Sher Ndur, and finally Al Musrati with a little asterisk behind it. Because, obviously that was triggered already after like a few games, but officially he's on the books for this season. And then we have a wash list of outgoing players. Anyone want to read that?
I'll do it. And it's also worth noting, in light of this, that we passed FFP protocols fully this week, just a couple days ago. And we haven't actually gotten official word about our rivals, so hopefully they didn't. Anyway, Jackson Muleka is outgoing. Amir Hadziometovich is on loan with an option. No option. No. Good. You know why? That's good. Demirege Tignas, Emre Can Bulut, Kerem Atakan, Tayfur Bingöl, Emre Can Uzunhan loan, Joe Worrall, which was sort of happened. Loan. Yeah, Valentin Rosier, happy sales, my friend. Rashid Gezal, Omar Kohli, Ante Rebic, Cenk Tosun. Omar Kohli, by the way, very recently went to PAOK. Amicable negotiations, no trouble from him.
No, very nice farewell message as well.
Yeah,
on social media.
We respect the man. Ante Rebic, Cenk Tosun, Javi Montero, Aydin Hasic, Umut Meraş, Erdoğan Kaya. Oh, I didn't. Utku Yuvakuran did his contract finally end, and Emre Gulay. It's quite an extensive list, and
a bunch of these guys obviously end of contract. Some loan. I didn't include all the youth players that got loaned out because then I'd need 3 pages. But a bunch of youth players got loaned out, obviously. Jackson Muleka, we already talked about that. He's been loaned with an obligation to buy if they stay up. We get a 1 million loan fee for him. He's the only player we get a fee for this season. Demir Ege loaned with an option to buy for 5 million. So there's potential money to be made there. Although I don't see it as I don't think Rio Ave is going to trigger that.
It's a big one for them. It turns out it would be their like.
And I think Hadjametovic, like, there's no option there because realistically, Rizespor are never going to be able to afford the option on Amir because that's like 6-7 million if you want him. So hopefully he can regain his mojo. Yeah. He plays and then he can get his move to Italy or something because there were a lot of clubs rumored to be interested in him before he got his injury. So let's talk about this, guys. The incoming is what we're going to be focusing on most, I think. And we already talked about it at the top of the show, really. But what do you guys think about our transfer window? If we don't add anyone anymore, what points would you give us from a scale from 1 to 10? Kartal, let me start with you. What would you give the board, the club, in terms of a score for the transfer window?
A solid 7 out of 10.
Just a 7.
Yeah.
I would give it like an 8.5.
Oh, that's very high. Bro, 7 is good, man. Don't underestimate how good a 7 is. That's 70%.
Yeah, that's like a B.
No, it's an A. And well, in the UK, it's a 70% is an A. Still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, like an A would be like a 90%.
A is like 9.5 or something. Yeah.
Anyway, for me, I would say like an 8.5, and the reason I say that is because the amount of overturn. No, what's the word I'm looking? Turnover. That's the word I'm looking for. The amount of turnover was so massive and so required and necessary, and on top of getting rid of that like laundry list of names, we somehow managed to pass FFP, which means we must have dumped a ton of salary, which you love to see. It was fiscal responsibility, right? Understated. But people don't think about it much, but that's
for the year 2023. So
okay,
yeah.
So we've still got something ahead, but yeah, I mean, the important thing is that with all that turnover, that we brought in the talent we needed and the leadership and the kind of locker room guys, and we flipped the camaraderie and the morale of all of our players with just these moves, you know, and obviously the reason I wouldn't give it a 9 or higher is because we still lack depth in like. See, I'm not as harsh as you guys. For me, the only clear position we're lacking depth in is left back, and I say that because we have Onur Bulut still, who is a backup right back. You know, he's not your ideal backup right back, but Jonas Svensson isn't like. He hasn't proven to be injury prone or anything as it is. I think he's good enough cover in an emergency. And so the only real hole in the squad is at left back. That said, and I guess we're probably going to talk about comments in a moment. And I think a name that a lot of people are forgetting about, and someone mentioned earlier, is Bakhtiar Zaynutdinov. And I feel like, you know, last season was a nightmare for everyone.
Yeah.
But especially for a guy who is not going to be your best player ever, probably, but who can very passively play in a number of roles, who's always going to be an engine and put in a lot of effort. I really hope that Gio, you know, finds a role for him. And I think, you know, in a pinch, right, should we ever really truly need a backup left back, like somewhat seriously, I think we might find ourselves requiring his services. And I think a lot of people will be surprised that he's actually, you know, in a squad with 10 good players, far more capable than I think they give him credit for. So, you know, that said, I think clearly that is a hole in the.
Look, I think the issue with Bakhtiar was, see, when he played left back last season, for the most part he didn't look that good. I think towards the end there was a couple of games at left back where he did start to look pretty good. But then it's a bit of a risk. Like you've had some shaky performances there. Then latterly you did have a couple of good ones. So can he be relied on? It's a question mark.
Yeah, well, and that's where, I mean, because it's for depth, you can kind of play that game a little bit, you know, from a managerial perspective. And obviously, like, should Masuaku go down, and he likely will, hopefully not for long, but you know, hopefully it's a case of Zaynutdinov having to fill in small gaps in the schedule, right, rather than anything substantive.
an ideal world, the left back that we signed should have been to be a starter, back on the bench.
Yeah.
Or at least on par,
but-
right? So they're competing, but
I've got a theory behind that, and this is my theory. See, if Masuaku feels like his minutes might be scarce and he needs to be at his best all
it
the
would be
time, I
good
think.
for him. Yeah.
So if you at least sign someone that's on par with him or better, he's going to feel the pressure to be on the top, and I think that's only going to make him play better.
Yeah, but we
I
talked
agree.
about that in the past, that Masuaku is a really good player, but he's a little nonchalant and a little aloof. And that if he doesn't feel that fire under him, that he does have the tendency to go a little bit limp dick. Well, that's maybe not a good way to phrase that one. But no, he definitely has this. I think he's if he wants on his day, he's one of the best players on the team. And
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, and that's the problem with him. I think it comes so easy to him sometimes that he doesn't always isn't.
Maybe he
always
takes it for
100
granted. Yeah.
He's not always 100% concentrated, I think.
Yeah.
And Arthur, if you're watching this, sorry about that limp dick comment. I think Masuaku is a great player, but he needs competition, and he doesn't have that from Emre Can Terzi or even Bakhtiar right now.
Yeah. One hope, though, I have personally, and I think we're starting to see it already, is that maybe the overall quality of the squad and the better morale, kind of more of a unified purpose, stronger, compulsion to succeed, right? Like this, because of the squad just generally being better. He seems to be raising his performance to some extent just to match that. And so you hope that can be maintained. Obviously, we've also seen a stinker despite that. But like now that we're really starting to see a full team in place, like hopefully he raises his level just to match that. Maybe that provides enough pressure.
But you need to
and
keep in
obviously
mind-
playing in bigger games, right? Hopefully we go to even
Yeah.
Europe, and that provides incentive as well. So yeah, hopefully he finds
But
it inside.
Remember, Sinan, when you were saying earlier, like last season was difficult, right? Like for us as well as fans, like you weren't looking forward to the next game because it was gonna be. It was like
a struggle,
pulling teeth.
at least.
Like the games
at least
were like
it would be a struggle.
exactly, and it's for a player that's not different. Like if you're playing, if your team is playing well, you're enjoying the football that you're playing. Like we enjoy seeing it, but they also enjoy playing it, and we can see
100%,
that.
yeah.
We can see that, and like it's a lot easier, I think, to stay motivated, to stay focused, and keep your eye on the prize if you're part of a team where you got the feeling that you can go the distance. And when you're playing for, at best, 4th position, like last season, when we ended in 6th, like you saw the shift of the mentality. The focus went on the cup, and in the cup, I think we played a brilliant, like one of our best games, maybe if not the best game of the entire season, was that cup final.
It was the best.
Yeah, so there you could see the potential of the team. Like when everyone was focused and the eye
If
on
they
the
had
prize.
a common purpose, yeah,
Exactly. And I think in the league there wasn't that. And now with Arthur Masuaku, I think he was one of those players where throughout the season, he missed a bunch of games, like 20 games or so. But when he played in the league, even I don't think, especially second half of the season, like he didn't impress much. But then in the cup final, I thought he was good and was one of the better players, and you could really see he was focused. And I think that was the case for many players as well. By the way, guys, just wanted to remind you, please hit the like button if you haven't already. Really helps us a lot, because if you like this, you're watching this, and you like it, by actually physically clicking that button or tapping it on your phone or whatever, that tells the YouTube algorithm to push us out to more people with similar viewing habits to you. So you liking us actually helps a lot. So please give us a like, give us a thumbs up. And also, if you're watching on delay, drop a comment, please. All right, so my rating for Oh, sorry, that's the wrong button. My rating for the transfer window, I would give it an 8. I think a 7 is really, really harsh. I know you think that's good, Kartal, but I think you need to look and take into consideration where we are coming from. From an all-time bad season, worst season in 25 years. We were from a team that was 50 points behind the competition. And now we look like a contender. I think that alone warrants an 8. And I'd put this up to a 9, 9.5 easily if we covered the fullback position, the rotation for the fullback, and maybe a new subscriber. And that's is not working
Taifa
properly.
Yelagal subscribe to the channel.
It should be. It should be. Yeah.
Sure, could hit. Yeah.
So welcome. If you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the new subscriber. So I definitely give it an 8, maybe even an 8.5. I think, the sign, like, if you look at all these individual signings, Rafa Silva, that's a 10. Chiro, a 10. Paulista, a 10. I think João Mario, we have to wait and see. Felix, we have to wait and see. Emirhan Topçu, I think that's
already
a really good domestic transfer. Jan Kellish is the only dud here. Sharon Dur, I think, is a great squad depth move. And Al Musrati, obviously, that's a fantastic move. That's easily a 9 for me, for his position, his skill set.
Could be a 10.
We talked about this in the past, and not on YouTube, but on our audio podcast in the past. Sinan, you and I talked about this. Kartal, you will not have been part of this yet, but if you transfer 10 players every season, the chances of all 10 of those being a good move are so small. I think if you sign 2 or 3 good players in a season, that's good business. Because it's so difficult. And
especially, as you said, where we came from, where we needed to turn over so much of this.
Look at Galatasaray last season. How many players did they sign last season where when they signed him, we all thought, ooh.
Yeah.
Remember Tite, Kartal? How that had you going last season? You were like, oh man, why aren't we signing this guy? And, we should be offering him that type of money and blah, blah, blah. And look how that turned out.
Yeah, I was filled by his transfer market value, man. That was the problem there.
But it's not just that. It was also his performance at Shakhtar. And also the way he was getting sold to us, the PR, because that's big in football.
We're talking about Tete, right?
Tete,
he's doing well in Greece now. Is that right?
Panathinaikos. I don't know if he's doing well. I don't give a shit.
But doesn't matter.
But on paper, Galatasaray had a fantastic transfer window last summer. Fenerbahce had a great transfer window last summer. We had a shit one. I think if you look at that, how often does a great transfer window on paper translate to success?
I think the best example for us would be the 2021 summer. On paper, it was a great window, but basically all of them are busts.
Yeah.
By the end of the season, we're saying that Umut was the best transfer, and that's how bad it was.
But that was the Alex Teixeira.
But Kartal, how often do you sign guys with this profile? Rafa Silva, Ciro Immobile, Gabriel Paulista, João Mario, not Joao Felix, sorry. Felix Urukai. So just those guys, not gonna count the Turks and Cher and Dur right now, and Al Musrati shouldn't even count anyway because he was last season. But those are our main signings right now. And obviously we have to wait and see how Felix and how Joao Mario turn out. But the first 3 guys we signed this summer were all massive hits. How often does that happen?
Did you guys? I know you guys saw that Al Musrati what if video, but one of the things they imagined is if Musrati's goal had hit the post and we didn't win the cup, One of the things was they imagined Emirhan Topçu would have probably signed with like Fener or someone else with that. Which, I mean, maybe that's a stretch because it turns out he was a big Beşiktaş fan. But on the other hand, like they would have had all the momentum and we'd have had none, right? Like
I did not
it
see
would have
that,
been
by
a
the
fully
way, but,
different.
Brilliant, you should watch it.
That's a great little tweet.
Link that. Send it to me. I want to see that. I want to see that.
So I sent it to the group yesterday.
Is it a video or is it just a?
It's a little
thread?
video, and it's like it.
Okay.
Somehow they doctored the shot of Musrati's like winner, but it hits the post and bounces out, and then it's like imagine it's like dark, and they're imagining like Rafa Silva signing with Galatasaray
in an alternate universe.
They fully. But then at the end they play the replay again, and he scores it, and like they show the celebrations. No, that was a masterful tweet, I will say.
Sounds great. Who tweeted this? What account was that?
Kartal.
I'm gonna send it to you right now, man.
All right, send it to me. Maybe you know what? Drop it in the comments or something. So people who want to watch it can actually watch it. So drop it in the comments of the video, not the live chat, but the comments, because then they can easily click it. I think. Although actually that might get removed for spam. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, like link through.
I don't know. I can link it in the show notes if necessary. Yeah, but I mean, like, how often do you see that like almost every time? Let's say you sign 3 big names, like almost every time at least one of them bombs. Like, I think we've had an exceptional window so far, and I really have the impression also, like, it's not just that transfer room video with Friedel, but also the news that's coming out and how they've been bringing offers to the players. Because Friedel was getting bashed on social media for the longest time, and I think, Kartal, you mentioned this yesterday, I think in our group chat, but you mentioned that like people were finally, looks like they were kind of coming around on it a little bit and realizing the work he's been putting in, and I just have the feeling that right now we're doing a great job behind the scenes. That the club is doing a great job bringing in the right players, bringing in the right coach, bringing in the right staff. They're just doing everything right. Other than Can Keleş, which I don't understand the logic behind that move. I just don't. I still hope he's gonna prove me wrong and.
I'm telling you, Kaan, Can Keleş is gonna have a hat trick late in the season, and you're gonna eat your words, man.
If he plays like remember in 2020, 2021, Aydin Hasic scored like 3 goals, and then he got injured. But if Can Keleş does that, I'm fine. That's fine, no problem. That's all I want. I want him to.
See, he'll do it.
If he can,
I believe in you, John. If you're listening,
if he can get us a single win in the league and we end up winning the title, that's enough. I have some doubts about that one, but other than the Can Keleş signing, I think all these signings have been tremendous. And
for
also,
me,
go ahead.
It would be a 10 if we had a left and a right back and either another striker or another winger, depending on where Gio really wants to use him. If you had those another 3 signings, it'd be 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
I think.
All right, let us
Shall
know.
we hand it to the comments?
Yeah, we will, but let us know in the comments section, guys, what you think of the transfer window so far. Imagine it's finished today. We don't bring anyone in anymore. There's still a small possibility we might if we offload both Ox and Amartey, but let's say it's done. This is the window. What would you grade it on a scale from 1 to 10? Let us know in the comments section underneath the video. Or yeah, you guys in the live chat can just write it in the live chat, of course. Let's get to the comments indeed, and then we can take it out.
All right. Mario says, looks great, Kaan. I think he's talking about your UI work, user interface. Now it does look great. Denver Nuggets, let's loan him to Regionalliga. Regionalliga. Its window's still open. That's like 4th division Germany, I think.
Yeah, that's really low. That's the regional leagues in.
We're talking about Amartey.
In Deutschland.
Says he's insistent on Germany.
Yeah.
Stories only the Super League can produce, I swear. Yeah, irgendwas mit yeah. Seriously. And then Yasin says the regional window is the German 4th division and it's semi-pro. Yeah. Amartey must love Istanbul. Couldn't he have still gone to Eyüp though?
Yeah, he can just go to Eyüp if he loves Istanbul, or Kasim Pasha. They were supposedly interested in as well. Like he had options. This guy ran out of the facilities apparently.
And then, as M. Sarper says, he could go to Eyüp, same city, same money, as if someone wants to harm Beşiktaş. And that might be alluding to that sort of conspiracy theory. I don't know if you want to address that, Kaan.
We can talk a little bit. Sinan, maybe if he still thinks the window is still open in Germany and in England, maybe he thinks Eyüp is like next to Hatay or something in
that's true. Who knows
east of Turkey. Like, I wouldn't put it past him. Like, I mean, honestly, I don't think most people know where the hell Eyüp is, so like I wouldn't be surprised. Like that wouldn't even be such a boneheaded thing. That whole conspiracy theory thing, like I don't know, man. I think if that was true, Aboubakar wouldn't be going to Hatay, I guess.
That's true. Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. It's so far fetched, but it's Turkey, so who knows, man.
Yeah, who knows?
What do you think, Kartal? Do you think there's any truth to that?
I mean, part of it was debunked. They said that all of those players' representative in Turkey is the same guy.
Yeah.
But that's true. The same guy is the representative for Ox and Bakhtiar. He's not for Amartey and Abou. So that's kind of debunked straight away. So
all right.
I don't really want.
Yeah, not just that as well, by the way. Like I think even one of our board members said that like the manager, I think it was about Amartey, but I'm not 100% sure, like, and mentioned that like the manager really tried hard to make
even the manager was showing yeah
exactly. So like it was just purely Amartey who was doing weird stuff. Like
the only possible thing is, this is the maybe part of the conspiracy theory that might be true, which I don't know. I don't want to comment. You can't say these things are true without having concrete evidence, but maybe there is someone from the previous administration that's maybe offering them money to stay. But would that really make sense to ruin your career for? I don't know, man.
Yeah, from the player's perspective, it doesn't.
That would have to be a lot of money then. Like, you're not going to do that for a couple of $100,000, right? Like,
because like we said, these guys have put their careers in peril, right? Like
these aren't like some poor guys from Africa. Like, I mean, two of them are from Africa, but like these are not like two guys, like 18-year-olds from Africa that don't have a chance in hell to get a contract anywhere, right? Like, these are guys that played in the, like, not Abou, but like Ox and Amartey, who played in the Premier League for many years.
God knows how Amartey played in the
Well, I think that just goes to show you that Premier League is a little overrated.
And so again, Wes actually follows up on this as well. He goes, those guys are just not interested in playing football. They just want to cash out and relax. I mean, it suggests that there's, I mean, who knows, honestly. Their logic, I don't comprehend fully, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
If they were like 35 or something, I could understand it a little bit better, but they're all still relatively young. It's so weird.
Yes, and so to be fair, English clubs and top 5 league clubs don't usually pay out contracts prematurely or tear up contracts. So I guess maybe that's sort of a defense of Ox that he doesn't. I don't really know where that point was.
Well, because they obviously aren't in a situation where they have to, because they don't have like these ridiculous limitations, you know.
Exactly. The foreign rules. It's the stupid rule that keeps biting us in the ass for no reason, because like everyone recognizes it's bad. Anyway, no one is worse than Diatta. He's saying Lamine Diatta. He's up there, or maybe Danny Nunco. But
Danny Nunco was definitely the worst, and Lamine Diatta. I mean, you know, at least he came and he went, right? Like, he didn't make a big stinker.
Yeah, Amartey could be worse. Continuing. Best thing about Amartey.
I mean, Danny Nunco is worse, I would say, probably. But at least we weren't stuck to him for 3 years.
Yeah, right. That was just a one-time bad offer. I'll skip that. Delgado was injured those days when he left. We're back to that conversation. I checked, and Amartey is definitely bottom 3 transfer this decade.
Yeah.
I would probably, I maybe the worst, second worst.
From the decade, I definitely think he's the worst. I can't think of somebody else.
Yeah, because
let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments, guys. Is there anyone worse than Daniel Amartey?
Any
like
transfer
worst signing? Let us know if he's the worst or if there's anyone else that is worse. Let us know in the comments.
M. Sarper, this is what I already alluded to this. He said, we have Batia still. What do you guys think? I think we can still use him. Obviously, I'm a Batia truther.
Definitely agree. We can still make use of Batia for sure.
Yeah. Again, Vas, I wish I could also get pay increase if I underperformed at work. That's about under.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? And then Yasin says the club should hire us for English marketing. And then we get some grades. All right. He says a 2+. A B+ in the US would be my rating for the window in the Germany grading system. So he means like an 8 out of 10, right? A B+. So sort of where Kaan was.
7.5, 8, yeah.
I gave it an 8.5. So. Typhoon.
8.5 is an A, I think, right?
Yeah, or A- maybe.
Yeah, maybe an A-. You have a weird grading system.
Typhoon Yailagul gives us a little waving hand, and I like how in the comment on the NDI, since they don't show emojis, it gives you like a little description. It's a hand pink waving. I didn't realize it was pink until they told me. Remember the 21-22 season? Yasin says not everything that glitters is gold, which is a Bible reference, but also or Bob Marley. I'll assume you're referencing Bob Marley with the everything that glitters is gold. Not everything that glitters is gold reference. Joao Felix would be a dream. Oh, that was your misspeaking, Kaan, when you can combine.
Well, I had João Mario and then
Joao Mario and then Felix Udoka.
Yeah, so I was just reading the two first names.
That's an easy one.
Felix. Yeah.
And then Alper Gegesvinli says Germain Lenz, of course, was the worst.
Yeah, that's maybe a good shout, honestly, because of we were stuck to him for even longer. I think it was like a 4-year contract.
5, I think.
Yeah, I think it was an issue. Yeah, 4 or 5, and he was already like 29 or 30 years old when we signed him. So his contract was going until he was like 34, 35, and he was making like 2.3 million a year or something, or 2.1.
I mean, at least we got more out of him, though, on the pitch, theoretically.
Yeah, I think we got a little bit more mileage out of him for sure. But in terms of what he cost us, it was
that was pretty terrible.
But at least he didn't cock block us.
Yeah,
like, the way
I think if we'd gotten a good offer, he would have left, right? He just nobody was biting.
Daniel, I mean, he was at least if we wanted to send him to Karabuk, he went. You know.
Yeah, or
Karagumruk or whatever it was.
Toulouse, I think he went to in the end.
He definitely treated us as that was his final contract, and like he got, I don't know if you guys remember, but he got like super fat and everything, and he let himself go, and like.
But he did keep playing too, right? It's not like it looks like Amartey is like done, but like Lens,
I don't know what
he went
Amartey
to
is doing.
Toulouse or something, or Valenciennes, or something, whatever. Versailles, that's what it was. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he went to like the 4th division in France.
Yeah,
and played, some amateur football or something. Yeah.
Versailles,
Lens is a good shout. That is a good shout. But
that's definitely up there. I still think it's probably Amartey. But yeah, that's it for our comments, man. Anyway, any final comments, folks?
No.
All right, I think that'll do it for this episode. Just a reminder then, everybody, please hit that subscribe button. Leave us a comment.
Where's the tab? Where's that beautiful graphic, Kaan? That they subscribe
button.
Oh, that one. Oh, I don't know where I left that one.
It's all right. It's all right. No pressure.
No, just hit the subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. Share with your friends and family. Tell them about the Black Eagles podcast. Spread the word. Be like Sinan and spread the word of Beşiktaş, spread the word of the Black Eagles podcast. Go to kartal.eu if you want to buy some awesome merch. I just got this.
I like that, by the way, Kaan.
I actually got this one from Turkey, and I'm a huge fan of hooded zipped hoodies. I love zipped hoodies. I've got one from like 10 years ago, but the fabric is a lot coarser. This is super soft. It's so good. I love it. I want to order more. I think I'm gonna get two more or something, and also the quality of this stuff has greatly improved, because like this is embroiled, this is embroiled, so it's not gonna come off when you wash it. Like the one I have from like years ago.
Yeah, it's probably got the embroidered logo there.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I can then, because of the.
We all have one on there.
These are actually all the same. They're just different colours, but
yeah.
I've got the one Sinan's got as well.
I love this one, by the way. Yeah,
I think this is last season's though. I'm not sure. This was only like 1800
this was like
lira.
2 years ago, I think.
Okay.
Yours was from 3 years ago, Sinan. This one's from 2 years ago.
There you go. And Kaan's last year. That's funny.
They're all the same design. They're all exactly the same. Just the colours.
But like, it's worth noting, by the way, like 3 years in, it's still like it hasn't worn down, no holes. Like it's holding up quite.
Which one's
well.
that
it's
one that
still
you
soft.
have? I mean, that looks very similar to the one I have, honestly.
Yeah, it's
they're all the same.
Yeah, but is it the? I wonder if the fabric's the same, because like this is really soft.
Yeah, it's pretty soft. It was softer, obviously. It's gotten a bit of wear. But yeah.
Big fan of this. This is perfect for wearing casually outside the door. So go and get yourself one. I highly recommend this one. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get another one. I've also the Adidas original ones are really cool. Just so much cool gear you can get at Kartal USA, whether you're in Europe or in America. You go to kartalusa.eu, yes, for ordering that kind of stuff. You can they ship to Australia, they ship to Canada, they ship to America.
I'm getting mine tomorrow.
They ship everywhere except Turkey. So if you're in Turkey, obviously go to kartalusa.com.tr and order your gear over there. Get your Beşiktaş gear. Support
or go to the
club.
store. Go to the stadium if you can. Make a day trip. That was. I went to the stadium when I was in Turkey last year for a couple of weeks. I went to the stadium like 3 times just to be in the environment,
to bask in
its glory. Exactly.
All right. Other than that, of course, you can always support us by going to patreon.com/Beşiktaş podcast. You can see that on your screen below our logo there. We got a new logo, by the way. We've kind of snuck that one in a couple of episodes ago. Let us know what you think about our new logo. And if you want to support us on Patreon, we do a lot of extra content, VIP content, the VIP audio podcast, behind the scenes stuff. We are launching. We are doing some match analysis with footage and all that kind of stuff. We did live reactions to the Europa League draw last week. Lots and lots of stuff. Early access to videos. Go and check out my video I did a few days ago on Anderson Talisca and whether Beşiktaş should bring him back. Spoiler alert, my conclusion is no, but let me know what you think in the comment section of that video if you haven't checked that one out. And of course, go and check out our video interview with Adrian Souza from Rabona TV, one of the best YouTubers when it comes to football. I've been following him for years. Go and check out Rabona TV actually if you haven't already. He does fantastic content. There's a couple of YouTubers that I really like for football content, and he's one of them. And I was very happy to have him on the show. And I think a lot of you were happy as well, because that video did really well. So go and check that out. Subscribe, comment, leave a like, and go to Patreon, become a Patreon member. Sinan, I'm gonna hand the microphone over to you, dear sir.
So, yeah, and let me quickly remind you all that our next match is Sunday, September 15th against Trabzonspor. We'll probably be here first to talk about it, to preview it. But yeah, Sunday, September 15th, 1 p.m. here in New York City.
1 p.m. So what time is that then, Sinan? 1 p.m.
So 20, so it'll be 20 in 20.
That's a pretty early game, so they're
yeah, we're finally, maybe the weather's finally accommodated.
It's 7 Central European time or 8 local time in Turkey, so I guess they're coming off of that 20:45 kickoff. That's good for me because that was so late.
It was getting wild. Yeah, even for me, I don't like waiting past lunch. Come on, I'm an impatient. Anyway, with that said, and this is probably the most important thing one can say these days, let's go Beşiktaş! Peace out, everybody.
Thank you to all our Patreons. Their names are coming up next. Bye-bye, everyone.
Ortada Bobo. Şimdi Bobo'nun önüne. Bobo aldı. Bobo girdi. Bobo